What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo!
Woo! Woo! Yeah! Hooray!
Woo!
And sometimes we pick apart several pieces of pop culture.
Yeah.
And don't look at the details at all.
That's true.
Oh,
right?
man.
Right? Isn't that...
That's DJ saying he's giving his full in-depth review of Cyberpunk 2077 right now. DJ.
Oh, no.
No. But Roger does want it. Shout out to Roger, fan of the show. But maybe, look, I don't want to make promises, and we're already getting ahead of ourselves, but I don't want to promise anything. So, I'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. But, guys, we're leaving it at that, but we're also taking something. We're leaving stuff behind, and we're taking things forward today. Big episode.
Yes, we are.
This is the first time we've ever done it on Mostly Nitpicking. We used to do something kind of like this on Mad Bracket Status, the previous podcast that shares this feed. But we are going to do an episode that we don't have a name for. What do we call this?
It's like our year in review and look forward?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you call
something like that.
This is.
It's the 2020 Mostly Nitpicking Spectacular.
Yeah.
Write that down. Write that down.
What we did used to call it? We called it the blank of somethings, because it's always a sentence where blank is in there, right?
Oh,
so maybe it's
yeah.
The blanktacular. The 2020/2021 blanktacular.
We call it the match game. Mostly
Nitpicking. That's true. Oh, my God. I used to watch that. The old one. I feel like they made a new one, right? With like Alec Baldwin or something.
They might have. I don't think it did well.
They remade everything.
Damn right. And some of those remakes, especially the new ones from like this year, maybe we'll make it into our list. So what we have, people that haven't listened to this in 3 years and heard the one we did so long ago, longer, maybe 4 years.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, I sent over a list of a couple of questions. They're really questions. One or two of them is but mostly it's like categories and like incomplete statements. So, blank was the biggest failure of 2020, or blank will be the big surprise of 2021, or whatever. We are going to go through the list, which we have each looked at, but we don't know what each other's answers are.
Which drives me crazy, because if there's a repeat, then I won't know what to do.
DJ's going to go first every time, because he's held us hostage and not preparing a second answer, like I said in the chat.
The more insane the thing
true.
I say sounds, the more of my answers I probably had to go down based on what the others said.
Yeah. Fair. And we'll see how this goes. But basically, we have a list. I think it's like 5 things from 2020, 5 things from 2021. Excuse me. One, they're not super detailed as far as like best actor, best actress, whatever. But there's things that you can kind of work into the like you can. You have a lot of room to make big points in whatever direction you want to. So you'll see what that means as we go. Before we get into that, real quick, how was everybody's New Year's is? We haven't talked since the New Year of 2021.
Yeah,
do you guys have any fun celebrations?
I just hung in with Michelle, didn't do anything crazy. Had some champagne wine and just, enjoyed watching the ball drop. There were some bananas awful performances. We don't have to get into that. I will say, though, Jennifer Lawrence did the ball drop, the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, whatever. To do the New Year's Eve ball drop and the Super Bowl in the same year, banner year for J-Lo. So good job, Jennifer Lopez.
Wait, you said Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear him say Jennifer Lopez, Diggins?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me. I thought the first time he said Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Oh, God.
I was impressed because I was like, where has she been? But
I think that was just Nando's well-documented love of Jennifer Lawrence infecting his hearing.
I'm a big fan from a couple of movies.
Nando, I'm being like live edited. Michelle's telling me I said Jennifer Lawrence.
I got it.
I guess my brain was just like, DJ couldn't possibly have said the wrong thing and corrected it.
Well, maybe I guess maybe it helps if you know what. Like, I don't know who it was, but maybe Diggins, if you knew it was J-Lo, your brain was able to like correct it.
I also saw it, so I didn't know who it was. So yeah, that might have been it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just kind of grasping at straws, and I know Jennifer Lawrence. You said like she's hosted like Saturday Night Live and stuff. So, or not Saturday Night Live, excuse me. I want to say she hosted Jimmy Kimmel once. I mean, she did host Saturday Night Live, but
I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, exactly. They'll let anybody on these days.
Yeah, even Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez. She's been great.
Yeah, so that's who I was referring to.
Okay, cool.
Super Bowl and New Year's Eve in the same year. That's like good, right? That's awesome.
Yeah. So, wait, is she doing the Super Bowl this year? Or
for J-Lo specifically, 2020 was a great year.
Yeah.
She did the Super Bowl. Guys remember the Super Bowl back in February of 2020. So, like, in the same calendar year.
Because no, I don't. But I believe you that there was a Super Bowl this year. I couldn't even tell you who won. I don't remember.
The Patriots? No.
That would be insane if the Patriots won. Was it not the 49ers? Oh,
the Chiefs. The Chiefs. It was the Chiefs.
That's right.
It was the Chiefs.
So there you go. This is what you can expect from this podcast, man. This is going to be really fun. Dickens, what about you? Did you do anything? Did you watch any shows or movies or anything at the time of the New Year so that some specific thing could happen as the New Year rang in?
Well, I didn't do that thing that you're suggesting, Nando, but I did. I went to this wild party, thousands of people packed into this warehouse.
No.
We all open-mouth kissed at the stroke of midnight with everybody else there. We all made sure that we were always less than 6 feet away from another human being at every moment of the day. Just normal New Year's stuff.
And then you had to take a plane back from Mar-a-Lago the next day. So that's even more. You got even more germs in you. That's like double germs.
No,
I was going to say you shouldn't do that, but you know what? You're still kicking, so go for it.
Live your best life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. No, I didn't do anything. I stayed in with my family. I mostly wasn't even watching the New Year's Rockin' Eve. I went down for like the last half hour and watched the ball drop. That was basically it.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, yes.
You watched the Winter's Bone or whatever movie she was in, and then right as she had to cut off her own foot or something, I know someone cuts off a limb in that. That was when the ball dropped. No,
actually, we were watching that one where she invents a mop, and she's playing a woman who's like 30 years older than her.
I forgot about that movie.
I do kind of remember that.
That was Bradley Cooper also in that movie with her, or was that not like a Bradley Cooper joint?
I don't think Bradley Cooper was
probably
in
the
it, but it
somewhere.
Was a David O. Russell movie, I think.
That's what it was. Yeah.
He was in there. I'm sure he was. He probably did a voice or something.
Background mop buyer one. That was him. Yeah, I'd buy this mop.
I mean, yeah, I loved him in Rocket Raccoon and nothing else. He's fine. Remember when he's in The Hangover in the first one, and like the first things this character does is he steals money from kids, and then he says a pretty wild slur.
I do remember
what was
that,
2011, maybe 2010. I went back and watched that recently. I was like, whoa. But I mean, it's the Hangover movies. You kind of expect them to age a little bit better than this. They let that guy make a Joker movie. Isn't that wild?
That is pretty wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched. I did a trivia. There's a friend of mine who hosts a trivia show on Twitch, like bar trivia, and he was doing one that night, which me and the people I was playing with ended up winning. And then we went time Speed Racer to the point where he turns the car on in the middle of the last race to New Year's Eve, and it was great.
He turns what specific part of the car on, Nando?
The Bernoulli Converginator. He kickstarts he jumps it into fifth gear, kickstarts the whole thing. It's the engine that they've created to beat the Royalton backed engine that is magic and not as cool. I remember at one point they have to take the Bernoulli Converginator out of what's that stuff called? That cold, the ice, like dry ice, I guess, or something, with like oven mitts. The movie's great. But yeah,
too bad there wasn't like a Speed Racer thing in 2020 for you to put on this list, because you would.
Well, there might be one in 2021. Maybe something kind of like that. Well, okay. I mean, we'll get to it. But Guys, let's talk about 2020 first of all. Man, that year. What a year.
I don't want to.
We got it,
Famously
guys.
great year that everybody loved.
Yeah, even if you weren't Jennifer Lopez, you had some stuff to enjoy and stuff to be disappointed by. And
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe Jennifer Lawrence was disappointed by the fact that she wasn't Jennifer Lopez in 2020.
Probably, because we said Jennifer Lopez
relatively quiet
had a
year
great
in all of the J's in the J-Lo's laws household.
JL's, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I got married, right? Like, that's like a huge occasion.
So that's a
for
pretty
me,
big
so.
knock against this year, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
I
You're
was
lucky
gonna say that for the
someone
list.
doesn't listen to these.
Biggest disappointments.
Remember when blank happened in 2020? But no, we're going to go through. We have a list, like I said, about 10 things. They're all going to be relatively media adjacent. Some will probably not be that, but whatever. Who cares?
They better be.
Yeah. Who
I
cares?
don't want to talk
Whatever.
about the rest of this shit.
Well, like media adjacent in terms of like it doesn't have to be like everything doesn't have to be like a specific single piece of media, but it can be more big picture if you want, you know.
Okay.
But you can't say this is the year that COVID happened in 2020 or something. Like COVID can't be the biggest winner of 2020, even though it certainly was. But besides that, we'll see what everybody said. We'll find out. We're going to start with an easy one, and this is one I just kind of announced before we started to us. So we didn't have a ton of time to prepare, but we'll start here, and we'll start with DJ, and we'll go around. So DJ Diggins, me. What was your favorite thing of 2020?
So are we doing me, you, Diggins, or me, Diggins, you for every single one?
Yes. To handicap, because you're at a handicap where you could only think of one answer to everything.
I was going to say, like, if I didn't go, this would be the one where there's no way you guys picked my thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Look, you're already going first, so that's just your lead-in for whatever you're about to say.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, okay. Wow. So my favorite thing of 2020, and I'm going to couch this like huge. Okay, so it's weird because it feels very recency bias, but I can confidently say, even though I only did it at like the tail end of 2020, it was my favorite thing because I put so much time to it in such a short amount of time, and I've fallen in love so hard with this thing, like harder than any other media-based thing in 2020, but it's Persona 5 Royale. I don't care that I've only been playing it for like a month. It came out in March of 2020, so it is a 2020 thing, so it totally counts, even though I didn't play it for like 9 months later. But it's a great video game. It didn't win any of like the cool video game accolade awards like it should have, like your Lasts of Us and Final Fantasies, you know, and others that came. Your Ghosts of Tsushima's
that may show up at certain points.
But I think it's a wonderfully put together game. It's been like the best way for me to end this horrible year because I've just been having so much fun doing it. It's crazy. I haven't even beaten the game yet, and I've put in like 80 hours, and I already want to play it again. Like, it's done these horrible things to my brain, and everyone has said this too. Like, I've always heard, you like JRPG style games, you like doing builds and different mechanics and stuff like that, you'll love Persona 5. I just never played it because I'm like, whatever, and I was a damn fool. There's like a game coming out in a couple months, or like a month, Persona 5 Strikers. I was finally being brought to the West. That's like a Dynasty Warrior style game. I'm gonna get that when it comes out. I'm all in on Persona. I love it so much, and even though it feels very recent, I was going through what else did I do in 2020 is my favorite thing. My favorite thing. I love it so much. I'm going to be talking about it forever. So,
cool.
That's my favorite thing of 2020.
You heard it here first, folks. DJ thinks Persona 5 Royale is better than getting married.
Yeah, so...
I said media-based thing. My favorite media-based thing. I was very careful with my words.
And so now
just in case a certain someone listens to the podcast.
People are probably going to get a sense for how this is going to go, right? DJ's going to say a thing mostly that happened either 2 months ago or will happen in 2 months. And also, but that's the fun part of this. There's like everybody throws in a lot of build-up, you know, and it's like, oh, this is my favorite thing. It was my favorite thing. I've talked about it a lot. And then you say the thing. So that makes it kind of fun. It's like an award show, you know? Diggins, what about you? What was your favorite thing of 2020?
My favorite thing of 2020. I gotta say, like DJ, I think my favorite thing is something that happened relatively recently.
Wow,
in
Nando
the
was
year.
right.
And that might be a recency bias thing. But I don't know. I've also been I've been working on something that is in some ways a retrospective of things I enjoyed this year, in which I was thinking back across the entire year. And, you know, at the conclusion of that thought experiment, I determined that as far as movies went, this was really my favorite movie of the year. And so even though it was recent, I'm going to stand by this one. I think my favorite media thing of this year was Wolfwalkers.
Wow.
Oh.
That is not what I expected from you. That's shocking, Diggins. Shocking.
Shocking. What
I
did
don't
you
know
expect
about
I was going to
shocking.
say?
Yeah,
I thought you were
right?
going to say Hades. I thought you were going to give
Hades,
a different
I
game.
had a great time with Hades, and I played a lot of. Hades is great, but I don't know. It's not often I have this experience of I will watch something, or I will play something, or I will, you know, whatever something, and I'll be like, and I'll be talking to people and be like, oh yeah, you know, I did this thing, that was pretty good. Wolfwalkers is the only thing I can think of this year where I finished watching it and like immediately logged onto Discord and messaged like 3 of my friends like, you need to watch this movie right now.
Wow, why didn't you message
Oh,
us?
okay. Yeah.
Well,
You did
'cause
tell
I
us.
knew-
I learned about it from you, but I didn't get any message.
Because I knew we were going to talk about it on the podcast.
Oh,
Likely
okay.
story.
Okay,
Likely
all right,
story.
Playboy.
Also,
do
you weren't on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on and not on Discord. Either it's open and I'm not looking at it, or it's not open and I forgot it existed.
Feels like all of our relationships with Discord. Just saying.
Very smart, very smart. So yeah, Wolfwalkers on Apple TV Plus.
Yes.
Even
so
more Apple TV than, I guess, is there an Apple TV?
Yeah, like
Technically,
the
Apple
thing.
TV is just the app.
Oh, right.
That's
That's
just
and
like,
isn't that
this is the
a
central
dongle?
place. Yeah, or whatever. I don't know.
No, that's Apple
But-
TV Plus. Apple TV is like a Roku, but Apple's
Yeah.
version. Like that's an Apple
Right.
TV,
So
and then
fucking
Apple TV
stupid.
Plus is their stupid. I shouldn't say stupid, but like their streaming over the top thing. So,
Right, yes. Which I have
It's
a year
weird,
free
right?
of because I got a new phone during 2020.
Oh, someone got. I don't know what I'm doing. You're great.
Also,
I'm
getting a
the
new phone is
worst.
a normal thing everyone does every few years.
I
It is a
know
new
that's like
thing.
yeah, that's not special.
You did
Anyway.
a good job when you did it, though. I think you getting a new phone.
Yeah, he's
Chef's
very good
kiss.
at it.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't hear me talk about it on the podcast a few episodes ago, Wolfwalkers is an Irish animated movie about an English girl who, her and her father moved to Kilkenny in Ireland because he's a wolf hunter and they have a wolf problem. But then she meets a Irish girl who can turn into a wolf, and just kind of things spiral from there. Oliver Cromwell's there, but they never say his name, but it's obviously Oliver Cromwell. I love that detail. I always mention it. But I think the thing about this movie that really, really, like, blew me away and made me fall in love with this so much is, besides the fact that it's absolutely beautiful, like, the animation style is so original and cool looking, and just there's so many like little details they do to make it look so stylized, and that I loved. But the thing that made me so happy with it is just, you've all heard me on this podcast. I'm a person who often gets annoyed with mainstream popular movies because I don't think they think they make a lot of weird storytelling choices that I don't like, or that I think are kind of suboptimal. And what I love about Wolfwalkers is it's just a simple, straightforward story told extremely well. All those like little criticisms and nitpicks that I often have about these kinds of stories when they're in, like, say, Marvel movies or especially in DC movies, they're just, none of them are there. It executes everything flawlessly. It's just like the ideal of telling a basic story. Everything is working. All like you meet a character, you learn their motivations right away. We get establishment about their personality traits. Those things get challenged. They change over time based on their interactions with the other characters. We end up with conflicts where one character's interests are played against another character's interests, which creates drama and friction. And it just gets, it all just goes and goes and goes so perfectly. And like, there's other things that have been more emotionally resonant or you know, are deeper or more touching. And those are all, I love those things. I absolutely adore movies that can make me do that. But at the end of the day, I just love a really, really good story. And that's what this was. And we just don't get nearly as many of those as we should, considering how many people we have working on this exact thing all the time. So I was so happy with that. And that's why it ended up being my favorite thing of 2020.
Wow. You know what's crazy? That was like such a good, detailed description. And I was like, oh my God, what I said was a piece of garbage. I forgot we're supposed to say like why we like those things.
Listen, I already forgot what DJ said.
Them.
What did you say? Oh, Persona.
I know, right? Persona.
Well, you talked
and, like,
about yours like last week on the show.
Yeah,
right. So,
right.
like,
so just go listen to last week's episode. But my God, Diggins, that was so good. Man, you should write a newsletter with your thoughts and put them in there. I'd pay for that shit.
All right.
I'm not patronizing you. I mean,
you said all right, so that's all.
Yeah,
it takes.
I don't have a Patreon. You can't be
boys.
patronizing me.
Oh,
very good. Very good.
But
all right,
DJ and I both patronize Nando.
That's true, as we all should. And yeah, speaking of Nando, my favorite thing of 2020 that isn't something I'm going to talk about later because it doesn't really fit in any other category. And listen, this is like a very kind of inside baseball me thing, but I've spent a lot of 2020 in like the last couple of years, I'd say since maybe 2018, getting back into comics. And 2020 was a year of just gonzo good X-Men stuff. Starting on January 1st of 2020 was when they published the X-Men 4, which is probably the best of the new Jonathan Hickman X-Men books. But for people that don't really know what's going on, the super basic explanation is that the X-Men have always been this like kind of persecuted minority, blah, blah, blah. And like they've had shots they've taken where they've been like, all right, we're going to build Genosha. We're going to build a big asteroid. Or, you know, Scarlet Witch is going to accidentally rewrite all reality, so we're all winning. But based on, or due to a really not confusing, but impossible to predict series of events, based specifically on one thing that we never knew before but became revealed to us, they had another shot at this new island utopia, and they've been planning and planning and planning, and it finally came together where all of the characters from the X-Men worked together to like basically create a mutant paradise on the sentient island of Krakoa, where like Apocalypse and Magneto and Professor X hang out and chit chat, and they solve problems and stuff. And the books are amazing. They've relaunched almost all of the, not almost all of them, but many of the old X books. So like X Force is back, what else? New Mutants is back, Excalibur is back. There have been a couple of others, even like Hellions is back. But it's fun because pretty much every X-Man is on one of the books, except for the ones that aren't in any of the books. And you're like, where's T? And it's like, oh, maybe they're somewhere. But we can't know about that yet. And then they did a big giant crossover that was like a 22 or 23 book series called 10 of Swords, which it reads X of Swords, but it's because of whatchamacallit, because of what's that called? Tarot cards. So that was really, really good. And just I'm shocked at how well they've managed to land this ship in terms of going from X-Men 4 in January 1st to X-Men 16 December 30th, and just how great all that content has been. I can't think of a single run of any series that's had this many like branching titles that have built together so well. And yeah, there've been other comics that have been pretty good this year. There've been some DC stuff, some Marvel things. It's kind of all over the place, like comics usually is, where there's like a good Batman book running, but then also there's a Batman book that's not as good, and you kind of have to take the good with the bad if you're a Batman fan. But man, being an X-Men fan and ignoring that one movie that came out, it's been just nothing but good stuff. And it's great that you know what? And as an X-Men fan, it's great that movie's out because we can finally move the fuck on. And we'll probably get to it later. But that's my favorite thing of 2020. But guys, now we got to talk about other things of 2020.
I know.
So the next thing on the list is a blankety blank. It's the statement reads, "Remember when blank happened in 2020?" So this is kind of like remember when this happened in 2020? It could be a movie or a show or an event or anything like that. But what do you got, DJ? Ask us a question.
I don't want to go first. I want to be able to go.
Diggins, you want to go first?
Why don't we do reverse? Why don't you go first this time, Nando?
Okay, sure. You guys, remember when The Circle happened in 2020?
Oh my God, that was 2020.
That was 2020. That came out. So it's been around in Europe. So like England, that The Circle as a concept has existed longer. But I had to look this up. January 1st. It dropped in the beginning of the new year was The Circle. And for people that don't remember, The Circle is a show. It's like a reality TV show where it was kind of like Catfish. You were in a hotel and you could communicate with people only through computer screens, and you had to gain their favor and maybe show pictures that maybe were you, and that was the whole fun. It was a good show. I really enjoyed it. DJ liked it. Diggins, did you watch it? I can't remember.
So I don't really watch reality shows.
Yeah, neither do I. And this one I found very entertaining, but not enough that I would ever watch a different reality show. Although I did try one of the Love Islands to see if I could get the magic back, but it wasn't happening. But and I tried that one where they couldn't have sex. Remember that one?
Oh my God, Too Hot to Handle. That was terrible.
I watched all of that. And it just never went anywhere. But The Circle was like just so fun and entertaining. And yeah, that even though it feels like it was years ago, it was January of 2020. Remember Circle?
Gosh.
Wild. Diggins, you got anything to remember in 2020?
I do, Nando. Hey guys, remember when Doolittle happened in 2020?
Yo,
I was
Doolittle was so
Oh no!
good.
Wait, can I rephrase that?
Yes.
It's the same pick. But hey guys, remember when Robert Downey Jr. stuck his entire arm up a dragon's ass in 2020?
Hold on. Can I rephrase that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely.
Remember when Robert Downey Jr. insisted on rewrites for Doolittle where he stuck his entire arm up a dragon's butt in 2020? That were not there in the original draft of the script, but he was like, "Well, fuck it, the dragon's gonna fart all over me." That movie was insane. I think if it worked for cats, that would have been a much bigger deal. Like, we would have been like, "Well, that movie sucks."
Can I do one?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Guys, do you remember when I fought a tiger with a little pocket watch and I shined a little light in 2020 and I beat the tiger?
Oh, DJ's doing an accent.
He's doing what Robert Downey Jr. thinks is a Welsh accent.
Yeah.
We had a bit where we all tried to do a Robert Downey Jr. Welsh accent on the pod.
That's true.
We all did
God,
this.
I can't even remember what it sounded like. What my version was just what he sounded like.
DJ wasn't too far off with what he was doing.
Oh, God, that movie was so fucking stupid.
Our episode was good. That was probably one of our best episodes of 2020.
I think we've had.
If you haven't listened, go back to listen to our Doolittle episode.
That was another thing. So we'll put that. I'm going to put that in the list. We'll get to it. But I'll put it in the chat. I want to do another thing at the end of the 2020 list.
Favorite pod?
Yeah, our favorite individual episode. So think about that. But you got some time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at our pods, but yeah, that's a good one.
Wait, so is that your one, DJ, or did you have a different one?
Wait, my what?
Your 2021.
No, I
you're building off Diggins's, or do you have a different remember one?
I meant I'm done on Robert Downey Jr. bits.
Oh, okay.
That's all I was saying. Yeah.
But so do you have a remember what happened in 2020?
Yeah, okay, Diggins, you're done. I just want to make sure Diggins was done with Doolittle.
Yeah, really, we did a whole episode on it. I don't have that much to say about Doolittle now. It was an insanely bad movie that we watched that was filled with baffling decisions, and I barely remember happened this year, but did in fact happen in January of 2020.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah?
Do you remember when Tiger King happened in 2020?
I was thinking about that earlier. I do remember that.
It's weird because, I know for a lot of people it, kicked off the pandemic, whatever, in terms of, binge watching, but just, the idea of it, how there was, a huge Tiger King, just fad in 2020. Yeah. And, Carol Baskin memes and 48 Hours episodes, Carol Baskin, references in rap songs. Joe Exotic maybe getting fucking pardoned. No, but
that story isn't finished writing yet.
I know, right?
Get more.
I like bought in. Like, I really did like the documentary, and I think I remember you guys like weren't super hot on it.
I never
seen
watched it.
I have no interest in it.
Yeah, no,
I feel like
understand.
I got it, from everybody.
I remember, like, at the time, I was like, no, you guys gotta watch it. But at this point, I'm like, no, you're right. Like, skip it. Like, you got it. But it just felt like such a crazy thing at the time. And I think and this is, like, kind of weird to say now, but it was in, like, the window where, like, before we had truly hit the dark times, it's like, oh, we're in our houses, whatever.
Oh,
This'll be a... So there was this, like, weird thing where, like, that was, like, fascinating, but, like, I feel like if it had come out a little bit later in 2020, people would be like, I don't have fucking time for this shit. Like, go away. So it was in this, like, really weird, like sweet spot is, like, a weird word for it, but, like, where it was, like, just on the cusp, and it was, like, it still's like, oh, Tiger King, that came out 3 years ago or whatever. So, yeah, it's just, like, a weird, like, milestone for 2020, I almost want to call it. So...
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think the thing with Tiger King was, like, we all had, at that point in the pandemic, from what I remember, it was something, and we all had to stay inside. And there would be some grim kind of news that would come out of some specific places, like mostly New York, but it wasn't, like, an all-encompassing media story quite yet, and we were still getting that, like, kind of, 15 days to stop the spread, everyone. You'll go back to work in 2 days. But, like... So I guess maybe we were all like, okay, so how do I kill 2 days? I guess I'll watch Tiger King. Or I guess I'll watch whatever. It is funny, like, that could have, I think that spot could have been taken by anything, Like, I think if, like, The Circle came out then, it would have been the national phenomenon that it almost was. The only thing that I can think of that had that kind of moment in the pandemic that is equally kind of, like, impossible for me to quite put together as Emily in Paris. That show where Emily is in Paris. That show, it was everywhere for no reason for a couple weeks, almost like we just were all supposed to watch it because those were the rules. And I watched it and I had a great time. So I can't say anything bad about it, but that's the only other thing like that I'm like, that wouldn't have worked except for exactly where it showed up. That must have been it.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
But
I get that.
Yeah, all right. So how about this, guys? I have a question. Or not a question. It's a question that is, will you answer this statement? And the statement is, I was right about blank in 2020. So I want some hot takes that we can deliver on. DJ, you got any hot takes from 2020 that you want to call back on?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is, like, a super hot take, but I think it counts enough given, like, what was surrounding it. So
a hell of a start. All right, go on.
Right? I think I was right about the Final Fantasy VII remake in 2020.
Ah, okay. What was your take on this? I don't remember.
So exactly. I said it was going to be like a phenomenal game that is going to live up to the hype and be able to meet the moment. I did. I was like on that.
Oh man,
it's one of my favorite series.
What a crazy prediction that the Final Fantasy VII remake would be good.
No. There was in video game Twitter. It's like, oh, remakes never work out. Oh, we got to be worried about, like, there's too much hype for the Final Fantasy VII. But Diggins, we talked about this and we're like, it had a really good ending. The gameplay was very good. It told the story, almost as good as, like, you could argue better than the original for that part.
I loved that game. That was my second choice for favorite thing of 2020.
What?
Okay.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
I
Over
adored
Bugsnax?
that game. Bugsnax is great, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is better.
I couldn't, I'm not positive about this, but I thought there was a little bit of, like, geez, what is it? Kind of like people saying, like, oh, it's not really that long. It was like a kind of a vibe of not like being upset about it, but just being like, I was kind of expecting a little more. But maybe I'm imagining that. I didn't play it, so I don't know.
I think that was possibly in parts, but I do think it did what it was supposed to. And not only that, but because there was such build-up and I can't remember. Diggins, do you remember the guy who's like the developer, the Kingdom Hearts guy?
Nomura?
Yes, thank you. So, like, oh, Nomura takes forever to make games. Oh, you'll get Final Fantasy in 2027. And look, he only released part 1, and it is to be borne out whether we get the rest of this game before the year 2045. Like, I'm going to be playing this game with my 20-year-old son or daughter, like, whatever. Like, that, we haven't sussed out whether that's going to happen or not. But I think that in terms of, like, me just being full fire that the game's going to be awesome and be able to meet hype and come out and be a good game, it did that. When I do think I could go into, like, old tweets and be like, be careful, you're going to get burned by Final Fantasy VII. Remakes never work. Look at all these other games that were remade. Just a cash grab. Because I feel like that's the new discourse on remakes, because everything is remade. I feel like this is a remake that took the original and took weaker parts and made them better. Like, the Cloud cross-dressing bit they do, how they do it in the remake is phenomenal. Like, I don't know how you could have any quibbles with that. Maybe people do, but I just thought it was
Some people have some reasonable quibbles in terms of, gender politics, let's say. I would say way better than those things were in the original game. There's still some underlying problems about generally treating it as funny, like, haha, the main character has to dress up like a girl, haha. But I think it is much, much better about that kind of thing than the original game was, no doubt.
And I think there were some games this year that were remakes that kind of flopped. I want to say, I was looking through a list the other day, and there was a Warcraft something that I didn't quite
that was a
understand,
disaster.
It was a disaster.
So, like, I guess
it wasn't a remake, that one. That was more of a remaster, but, like, they botched it super hard.
Yeah, so, you can fuck up a remake pretty bad in 2020, and I guess them not doing that and turning out something that was widely, liked is a pretty big... So, yeah, there you go, DJ. It's a hottish take.
Thank you.
It's warm. The frog is starting to boil, but it doesn't notice it yet. Diggins, you have a take?
I'll take it. What's
something you were right about in 2020?
Absolutely. I do.
No, that's perfect then, because that's what I can't wait for you to say it. Here we go, Dickens. Here's like your sentence is going to go. You're going to say, I was right about blank in 2020.
Okay. I was right about Birds of Prey being one of the best DC movies in 2020.
Ooh.
I mean, in 2020, or you saying that in 2020, or like, because it was...
Me saying that before it came out in 2020.
Okay. Yes, I got you. Okay.
Like, not me saying it afterwards. Me saying beforehand.
I
don't think that's that hot of a take.
No, it is because I remember this where it was like, what, Wonder Woman 84 is coming out this year, and I know your stance on it, Nando. I'm well aware,
yeah, it
but
sucks.
I don't think you shared the opinion of a lot of people on what the best DC movie this year would be. So I actually think that's a pretty bold take ahead of time, and I do remember that with Dickens. So I fully endorse that. The frog is super dead. We've killed the frog.
A lot of people didn't think that movie was going to be that good. I think if you go back and check the record.
I didn't think it would be. I'm like, Birds of Prey. I don't think it'll be good. Like, I did not have faith in that movie, and I was super wrong. Movie's great.
I think it's pretty good, but that makes it the best DC one next to Shazam. Like, that the bar is so low.
Was Shazam 2020?
No. But I'm saying just of the DC
in general,
movies. Like, I'd say I did this ranking.
Well, it's definitely way better than Shazam, which sucks.
Oh, right, you're wrong about this. Right. But Shazam is the best one, so it's like Shazam, Birds of Prey, and then it's kind of a toss-up. Then you can have your pick. I go with Aquaman. Some people say Wonder Woman.
I think Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman are the only DC movies I would unequivocally say are good.
Yeah. I can't. I just can't with Shazam and Aquaman. I think Aquaman is good.
Aquaman is one of the better ones, but I think it has problems.
You don't think Birds of Prey has problems?
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying, like, Aquaman has problems that if someone said that movie's bad, I'm like, I see where you're coming from. Birds of Prey has problems where if someone says that's bad, I'm like, I think it has problems, but I wouldn't say it's bad.
Interesting. So wait, do you think the movie would have performed better if they called it Harley Quinn?
The name stuff was a disaster.
Yeah, the name fucking
the name's the worst part of that movie.
Yeah,
no,
when
that's
that was
true.
announced, and we were like, ugh, that's not a good name. We're right.
Yeah, I feel like that was part of the attitude too. Is like the name stuff, the kind of the presentation of the trailers. Like they looked cool, but just like the overt Harleyness of it, and just going really hard on Margot Robbie's shtick kind of grated a lot of people. And I think that's all fair, but it ended up being a really good movie. And I am proud of myself for thinking that would be the case and being right about it. Like I'm right about most things. For example, that Shazam is a bad movie.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's just right in, listeners. Tweet at nitpickingpod. Nice things, but just that'll be how I know that you don't agree. Say nice things about Shazam. Sham's great. All right, I'll go next. Let's see. I was right about movies in 2020. I'm gonna extend the wrench.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. So every movie that came out, I don't think I was surprised by a single movie this year. All the ones that were released, which is not too many. I knew Soul was going to be fun and good. I knew Wonder Woman 84 was going to be very good. I knew Onward was going to be kind of forgettable. I knew Invisible Man was going to be cool. Like, I don't know. I feel like this year I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but just in general, I don't think I was surprised by very much this year. I don't think there was all that much in the movie realm to be surprised by.
You weren't surprised by Bill and Ted?
No, I kind of expected that would be fine. It's like
you weren't surprised by New Mutants coming out?
That might have surprised me.
But you weren't surprised by how fun Palm Springs was?
You kidding me? You tell me Andy Samberg's in a movie, I'm down. I'm enough of an Andy Stan.
I thought you were
Andy
light on
Samberg.
Palm Springs, or am I wrong?
Like, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I thought it was
okay.
Yeah, okay. You know what else? I knew Tenet was probably going to be a mess. I was on that one of like, nah, this isn't it. And I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm right about all of them. I'll say Wonder Woman 84. I was dead on about for years. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel
like
that's
there's nothing here.
That's the one I'll give you. You were definitely
victory lap. Yeah. The other ones,
I think I could take Tenet too. I was so lukewarm on Tenet, and
I will give you the Warner Brothers umbrella for being right on.
I'll take
that. I don't know about the others, but I will give you the Warner Brothers umbrella.
I guess you know what it was. I was looking through the list, and I was like, yeah, Tenet, Wonder Woman, and then I saw Onward, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that and having the same kind of thought as I had kind of about Tenet, I guess, which is like,
You were really low on Onward, but I thought Onward was pretty successful.
It was fine.
I think Onward could have been my Remember Blank was 2020, and it would have been like, oh yeah.
That was the last movie I saw in a movie theater.
Yeah,
me too.
That's fair.
I don't know. I'm not going to relitigate Onward, but I think it's like a specific audience kind of movie. But anyway.
Perhaps. But yeah, Wonder Woman or Warner Brothers, real mess. But speaking of real messes, guys, what's the biggest failure of 2020 according to you guys? We'll start with DJ.
You want to start with me? Ooh.
Or
can I ask for a point of clarification because we did some reshuffling before the podcast?
Sure.
This is distinct from the category of biggest disappointment, yes?
Which one should go
I don't
first?
think we made...
I don't think we were able to make that category because DJ couldn't think of two.
I mean, okay. I could come up with one.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Clarify which one you mean, but this is either or, kind of.
Okay.
Well, mine's both, and if we have to spin out into a second one, then I'll come up with something. But all right, guys.
All right, DJ, what's your biggest failure of 2020?
All right. This one's got to be super obvious, but easily, in my opinion, the biggest failure of 2020 is Cyberpunk 2077. And this is certainly not a recency bias thing. I was looking through different things that came out in 2020, and I feel like you could make a claim, depending on where you think decades begin or end, but like that Cyberpunk 2077 was like failure of the decade. And like, I don't even think that that's a crazy statement. So here's where I land on this. In terms of the fact that I understand that COVID caused it to be delayed, but I think even before that, this game was not ready under the best of circumstances for like a production standpoint. I don't need to go over all of the bugs and everything. You guys have seen the videos, that's whatever. So that's a big weight against it. Even beyond that, this game is not what it was promised to be. This game is not the Prince that was promised. This game was supposed to be you're in the world and you feel immersed and it's going to be an experience with your characters and how you're going to interact with other people, and it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen, whole new world, blah, blah, blah. And all it is, even if you take out the bugs, and this game was just released like as a game, it's just a Ubisoft Fetch Quest game. That's all this game is. There's nothing interesting here. There are some characters who are fun. The plot is dumb. It's a dumb plot. I appreciate Keanu Reeves. The biggest surprise for me for this game is how much Keanu Reeves is in it. Like,
did you finish it?
No. But like,
how far along are you?
See, I feel like I'm far along enough to like make this opinion and not sound like a crazy person.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying you're not qualified. I'm just curious.
Oh, I mean, in terms of hours I put in like 35 hours. Like, so I gave it a fucking chance, and I got like to enough in the story where I'm like, okay, I see where this is gonna go. And I did look up some spoilers on the internet just to like really educate myself, but nothing in here is mind blowing. But as I'm saying, like, Keanu Reeves is such a big part of this game. Like, he's a big plot point, and it's clear because his line reads are all terrible. It's so disappointing that Keanu Reeves is in this game. Every line read sucks. It must have been done in one take. It's, yeah, V, that woman there's a real piece of shit. You should punch her in the face. And every line read is like that. And Keanu Reeves is not a bad actor. I fucking love Keanu Reeves. But him being in this game takes away so much from it. Because, like, oh, they modeled the character after Keanu Reeves. And I know that's his voice, but the line reads are all bad. I juxtapose it to other games I've played. Persona 5, which I've already said, has really good voice acting. But take away from that. God of War. Last of Us 2. Trying to think like what other Hades, even Hades, like the voice acting is so good in that game. And
the voice
like,
acting in Hades is incredible.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're at a point where you can get really good voice acting, even fucking like Destiny, where for the last part they were like doing it in their homes. Like, it brings you into the story. I'm not saying that Cyberpunk is covered in bad voice acting. There are good line reads, and there are good story lines, but the game is covered in way too much shit, and it's too hard to find those storylines. Like, I was getting to a point in the game where I'm like, why are you time gating me on this storyline? Like, and I don't mean time where, oh, it's like, it's gotta be 1 p.m. the next day, because you could just fast forward to that. Like, I need to be doing other things in the meanwhile to get to the next point in the story, and it's just artificially padding time into the game. That's nonsense, and it's so bad. It's so awful. It's uninteresting. It doesn't even talk about, like, what a dystopian 2077 would look like, because the world that it's based on, like the RPG, like, is an actual interesting world, but this isn't a world. It's like GTA with a paint of, like, you know, quasi steampunk futuristic painted over it, and it's just a facade, and it's so bad. And it blows my mind because I love The Witcher 3. Same developer, CD Projekt Red. I fucking love The Witcher 3. It's one of my favorite games. I played it like 3 times. And it's because Geralt is such a good character, and the story that he's invested, you're so invested in the story. I don't give a fuck what happens to V in the story. Like, the whole thing, you're supposed to save him, he could die, I wouldn't care. I have no investment in this. And maybe it's I can't separate the bugs away from the story, but I think that everything that CD Projekt Red tried to do just came apart. And the reason it compounds is this game wasn't like announced in 2017 at E3 and then came out 3 years later. This game was announced in 2012. There are like game critics who had kids when this game was announced and then played the games with their 8-year-old kids when it came out. And it's like, wow, how has this much time? The Witcher came out in between the time that this game was announced and this game came out. And The Witcher is a billion times better than Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not going to compare it to The Witcher because that's not the point of this, but it's like you see what they could do, and I don't know why CD Projekt Red is like getting away with this, because if EA or Ubisoft did this, it would just be, this is terrible, tear it down, don't buy anything from them again. I know people already think that.
I would not say that CD Projekt Red is getting away with this. I think they've been quite heavily lambasted.
As they should be, by the way. Like, this is bad for the industry, because you see games that effort is put into, and it looks good, and it's compelling, and it meshes gameplay with story in a super good way. And I played fucking Watch Dogs Legion that came out because it was like on sale, and I thought I'd give it a spin because I heard it was like pretty fun. And like, I don't love Watch Dogs Legions, but it's way better than fucking Cyberpunk. Like, at least in like Watch Dogs, I could do some like pretty funky shit that's like funny, but I never get any humor out of Cyberpunk 2077, and there should be parts of it, but it just falls flat. I think I'm over my time, but it has to be for me.
This is mostly
the biggest
nitpicking,
failure.
DJ. We don't have time limits.
Well, I don't know. Do you guys have any insights? I feel like I've just been kind of just like gas bagging for the past like 5 minutes.
I think you could.
Like... I'll go first. I just think so. The Witcher games are based off of a book series in Poland that ended up getting There may have been some translations beforehand, but they've become much easier to find in English after those games came out. And I think what we've kind of learned is just how much the existing world building and narrative was doing for CD Projekt Red with those games, where just the existing character of Geralt, the existing world he lived in, just did so much of the heavy lifting for the writing they needed to do for those games. And when they don't have... When they have a setting that is intentionally more bare bones because it's an RPG setting and you're meant to fill in the gaps with that kind of thing, it just... They don't have the skills necessary to do that, really. And I think beyond the bugs, that's kind of like the biggest thing we've kind of realized about CD Projekt Red.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, but like they didn't make like Geralt this very compelling character. Like he is that, and it's like you compare him to V, and it's like V sucks. Like V just sucks.
I mean, so I think you could even expand, and this is like, I think CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 are the best example of this, but I think you could say maybe the AAA games were the biggest failure of 2020.
I disagree.
Ooh.
I know, but okay, so you got Watch Dogs Legion, which, stunk. Warcraft 3, that one stunk. Remember Dreams, by the way? Speaking of, this isn't really as much of a AAA game, but that's...
I would say Warcraft 3 was not really a AAA game release either. It was just kind of like a remaster Blizzard rushed out the door.
That's fair. You got the Avengers game, which nobody likes, which is fine, you know.
Except you love it.
Yeah, I do love it. And it was a bad AAA release, for sure. And like I think they sorted it out, but just game releases. And then you got like Last of Us 2, which some people liked, but the game industry, AAA games as a part of the industry, I think really got kind of like Last of Us 2 showed how the working conditions and stuff like that in the gaming industry can be so toxic in a way that I think we kind of always knew. But I feel like because of Last of Us 2 and like just the spotlight on that game as like this year's big game next to CD Projekt Red, and then hearing all the horror stories about the crunch and stuff really made me go like, man, video games not having a great year. There were some good games, but I guess like big studio games, I didn't quite feel it.
Sorry.
But I mean, you've got other games that people like, and there was like the Hadeses, which are good, but that's not a big studio game.
Well, that's an indie game, right?
Yeah, but
and
I'm
like
sure
even
there's
Fall
good
Guys,
ones,
right?
Oh yeah, there's Fall Guys and Among Us. Those are the two bigger games, and those guys both kind of came from nowhere.
Well, if I could counterpoint, like the AAA success is like, okay, it can be done, right? Doom Eternal, probably like one of the best games that came out this year. And like Doom is a super fleshed out world and really fun gunplay and is like a bloated AAA game, but I would argue that like Doom is bloated in all the right places, like just Doom in general, but Doom Eternal
just like
is
me,
really good.
I got him.
Animal Crossing, like a giant hit
Animal
this
Crossing
year. And
is so huge,
but that's a AAA game. And, like, you want to talk about a AAA game, like, monster success, like, you could point to Animal Crossing and be like, yeah, that's where it works. That's easily where it works.
And a little video game called the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep, thank you. That's where I was going. No, don't add that.
Well,
that
but that's a
game was
remake.
Monster
We were
success.
talking kind of like the way that, like...
No, but Warcraft is a remaster, which is they just took the existing game code and made the graphics look a little prettier. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a full-blown, top-to-bottom, complete reworking of that game. It is just, you took the story and the vague game mechanics, like the idea of them, and then you made a new game. That's a different thing.
Okay, well, I guess more what I'm thinking is, like, if you asked in January, or like, say, December 31st, 2019, what are the two big games of 2020? It's Last of Us and Cyberpunk, right? They both were released, technically. One was so bad they had to give you your money back. And the other one, while, opinions were split on the game, some of them because of decisions, like, purposefully made by characters and, like, people just not liking them. Some made because people just didn't like the gameplay in general. But then other decisions, like, the behind the scenes stuff between Cyberpunk and Last of Us, I don't know, it just made the gaming industry look pretty rough. Imagine if Avengers and Avatar both came out in 1 year, like 2022. It was like there was an Avengers movie and Avatar movie. Those were the top 2 grossing movies of the year. The Avatar movie was so bad everybody had to give their money back after you saw it, and then the Avengers movie was so, it made lots of money, but all the stories coming out of making it were horror stories about how everyone was fighting and sad. Like, that would make movies look so shitty. Big studios, I guess.
I feel like that where that falls apart for me anyway is like if you look at The Last of Us Part 2, like you could look at that game and I know people have quibble with the stories and it starts in a weird place, but I think that's more of a subjective where do you fall on how to make a sequel for a very successful game. But the game is technically sound. They improved on parts of the gameplay. It looks beautiful, and it's an example of like taking good voice acting and emotional stuff and putting it into a video game. Like, I find the story of Last of Us Part 2 very compelling. I know not everyone will, but I don't think there's areas where it's like, oh my god, this game just collapsed in every place. Like, I know there are people who like Cyberpunk for certain reasons, but I think it falls apart in too many places and you could objectively say, this thing is bad. But I think there are AAA successes. I think Ghost of Tsushima is, in general, a AAA success. I know there's some parts of it that are weird and feels like game by committee and turns into fetch questy, but I think, like, the story of it, again, is generally good. And like, I don't think that AAA gaming should dominate because there should be a Hades, and Hades are good, but I think there are times
Hades is the zeitgeist game of the year.
For sure. I'm just saying that you could take a lot of money and a lot of resources and make really good stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. I guess what I'm saying, the point, I guess, about Last of Us is less about the gameplay and more about the development process and the crunch and stuff like that. As that game being part of a industry that has a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. So I guess more what it proves to me is like you can make a great game or you can not make a great game, but either way, the behind the scenes of the 2 biggest games of this year were disasters. And one of the games just happened to be finished and the other one didn't. But that's still, I don't know. That made me a little. If I had never spent any time in games before, I'd be a little slow on like being like, oh yeah, games are really good now. There are good ones, but I'd say this was a bad year for games.
I think if you were to say that it was a bad year for games, and I wouldn't, but if you were to try and make that argument, I would say that Twitch is just covered in Among Us.
Yeah, and it's a bad game.
Fortnite.
It's a bad year for games.
That's what makes it bad, not what you were saying.
You thinking Among Us is a bad game is not a popular opinion.
Among Us is a terrible game, right? Like, it's not a good game. It's just a thing that people watch people. Like, is it a good game?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think it's the only thing that should be on Twitch, and I think that watching it over time, like, I have way more fun playing it than watching it. I think watching it gets super old, and
yeah, I think playing it gets super old too. I don't think you can do a trader game quickly. I think you need a long, I think it has to take a while so you get some investment in it.
I'm just saying that's a bigger failure from, oh my god, games are going in this direction where it's lowest common denominator, right? And Diggins, you were talking about watching Hades speedruns. That sounds amazing. I wish Twitch were covered in Hades speedruns, but it's not.
No, instead it's Minecraft speedruns. Minecraft is back, guys, because games
but they cheat. But they do big cheats on those Minecraft speedruns.
It's like, I don't know. I guess, yeah, you're right. I'd say there's a lot of things about the game industry, and there are plenty of good games. But, yeah, I think a case could be made that 2021 or 2020 games are the biggest failure. Anyway,
all right,
moving
we're
on.
Done
Diggins, what do you think is the biggest failure of 2020?
It's come up in this podcast already, but I think we need to talk about it. It is both a failure and a disappointment to me personally.
Oh, boy.
I think we got to talk about Tenet, guys.
Yeah, we got to
talk about Tenet.
Again?
We got to talk about Tenet.
Hold on.
If we're going to talk about biggest failures of 2020, we got to talk about Tenet.
So let me try.
Hold on. Diggins gets to make his point, and then DJ, you can be wrong. Diggins, go get him.
So Tenet
Although, wait,
may
now
be
that I
hard
think about it, DJ should go first because of time dilation.
I was trying to do a
you're
bit where I was going to say,
very
okay,
good.
guys, I think that was a good discussion on Tenet.
That's how quickly
Trying to
Tenet
do
kind
a
of
bit, but
evaporated
it's
from my memory.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
All right, Diggins.
Go ahead, Diggins. We've already
Diggins,
done all the
go
Tenet
ahead.
bits to
I'm
the end
so
of
sorry,
time.
DJ, for interrupting.
It's okay.
No, it's
It's
fine.
okay.
Look, we already did that bit in the actual Tenet podcast, so we're covered.
Yes.
Okay, so Tenet was going to be the big new, like, huge blockbuster from Chris Nolan. I don't know if you guys saw a movie in theaters that did this, but I think when I went to see 1917, they showed like the full opening bit of Tenet, the whole opera house scene. They
I
just
did not
showed
see
that
this,
as
but
a
maybe in
preview.
IMAXs or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it was a special, like, big screen showing kind of thing, which might have been why they did this. But yeah, it was a huge thing. They played like those full 10 minutes. It was supposed to be like a incredible movie, a huge release. It was getting pumped up so much, like how awesome it's going to be. Chris Nolan is doing more like Inception style heist stuff with cool sci-fi things, but we're even growing even bigger. We're going even harder. The budget's even more. You know, it's going to be this huge thing, and then not even talking about the quality of the movie, but then we got the pandemic, and that interfered with the release schedule. You know, it wasn't going to come out. And Chris Nolan, who I admire a lot of things about as a filmmaker, and I think has said some smart things about HBO's decision, criticizing it as in terms of releasing their movies on streaming. He was so insistent that his movie was so grand and spectacular and needed to be seen in theaters that he ended up pushing for what I think ended up being the first major theater release since the pandemic started. And it was just such a bad idea. From a public health standpoint, it was a bad idea because people should not have been going into movie theaters at that time in August. It was a bad decision financially because many people did not want to go to a movie theater in August, and so a lot of people didn't see it. And it was a bad decision creatively because it created a lot of ill will towards the movie from people because he was insisting on doing this bad decision. And then finally, the movie came out on streaming months later. We were able to watch it, and it's fine. I don't hate it the way Nando does, but it's definitely not among his best work. It's cool conceptually. There's some fun scenes, but it's not really even that good of a movie. If all this happened and I watched the movie and I was like, wow, that was genuinely one of the best movies I've ever seen, I would have been like, well, it still wasn't worth it though. But the fact that it's not even that good a movie, it's just like the perfect capstone that makes this such a failure.
And it kind of half killed the movie industry, maybe. It's performing so poorly is, first of all, there were plenty of theaters that had to open up to play this movie, and then that kind of screwed up the way they were paying rent because they had to go like, well, now we're actually playing movies. So people that were charging those theaters rent were like, okay, so pay us full rent now. So there's arguments that the reason, like, it is directly responsible for some theaters closing. But also beyond that, like, yeah, it just like it was such a failure for Warner Brothers that it seemed to scare them into the HBO Max thing, which is I don't know how much of a failure it is of like long term. It seems like a failure. It seems like a failure because they're trying to claw a couple of them back. Now they're like, oh, maybe Dune won't come out on Warner Brothers HBO Max. Maybe it'll come out in theaters only. So I don't think they love it. But yeah, I think there's a definitely a case to be made for Tenet. I think you could even expand it out more. I think you could say Warner Brothers might have been the biggest failure of 2020. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Do you guys remember a little movie called Scoop? Warner Brothers. You guys remember a little movie called The Witches? Warner Brothers. They made Birds of Prey, which was good. Like, it's not, compared to all these. And then only a couple of other small things. And then Wonder Woman 84, which was definitely not very good. And then, on top of that, they launched HBO Max this year with, like, barely any original content for HBO Max. There was some stuff that had been on other streaming services and stuff that you would be like, oh, yeah, Doom Patrol, that was good. But, like, their big hit this year was supposed to be, like, Raised by Wolves? Or I don't even know. And then they fucking put the Snyder Cut into production. Like, Warner Brothers just, man, this year, not good.
And I think part of it, too, is, Diggins, you said, it's not one of Christopher Nolan's best. You might be able to make the argument that it's the worst.
I think you could, yeah.
But even outside of that, do you guys think that... Because one of the things I said about Cyberpunk, not to, like, bring it back all around to that, but just that the expectation game was so high because it was announced in 2012 and it was going to be this whole big thing. Was there an expectation game there for Tenet? Did people think like it was just going to be this amazing movie, or did we kind of know this going into it, like pre-pandemic?
No, I think there was a lot of buzz around Tenet.
Yeah, I think people really wanted this to be Inception 2 or something like that, where it was just like his imagination run wild and it's a technical marvel with a fun bunch of characters and it's going to be remembered for years. And it had one of those things. And besides that, though, it was just a lot of like, it was a showy kind of thing. But I don't think anybody was like, and all the characters will be boring and they won't, and all the dialogue will be flat. Like not nobody, but I don't think that was the opinion. I think people were like, and I think when he was like, this is going to save cinema, I think there were some people that were like, yeah, this is actually the one that will. This is the movie if there ever was one. So yeah, I think there's a case to be made there that Tenet really was the biggest disappointment of the year, in a way and the biggest failure in a way similar to Cyberpunk. But yeah, I think it may have destroyed the industry it's within in some way, and definitely seems to have really negatively affected Warner Brothers, and so that's pretty bad.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm surprised neither of you said this, so I'm going to throw this one out because I'll be honest, Warner Brothers and video games were my 2 and 3. But my number 1, which I had reserved would never be mentioned, was Quibi. I think Quibi is the biggest failure of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Like it has to be. Billions of dollars.
There was no way we could take Quibi from you, Nando. Come on.
So it was Quibi or
like,
Rudy Giuliani,
really
but Rudy Giuliani was on the text thread, so I figured I couldn't say that. Even though, nothing will... Like, Rudy Giuliani is not... He's not the Quibi of politics, but... but Four Seasons Total Landscaping is the bury me with my golden arm of politics, I think.
All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, coughing into your napkin and wiping it on your forehead is the Dodge Titans of politics. I just think like, man, Quibi is so weird. It's such a bizarre story. And it's apparently some of the content might go to Roku now, so that's great.
For real? Oh
yep.
my God.
Roku apparently is trying to set up its own like big streaming network, and that's one of the groups that's bidding on it. But like, yeah, I mean, grand opening, grand closing, Quibi came and went, and in the whole of this year too. Like, there was no Quibi before like February or something. And it's pretty fantastic how badly they did.
It's true, yeah.
So, I think it made for some great content from us, but also from just the rest of the people. People making fun of Quibi was fun. It'll never not be fun. I think the only other thing that I think could maybe be considered the biggest failure of 2020 is Skype. What happened, Skype? This was your year.
Yeah,
why did Zoom win? What was it about Zoom that beat Skype? Was it the backgrounds? I don't know.
I don't know. They got caught sleeping.
They really did. I don't work on the time where it's like, you will, like, I don't work in a job where you do meetings all the time, and so I wasn't one of the first people to start using Zoom instead of Skype, but man, John Zoom or whatever, he really struck while the iron was hot. Way to go, him.
My only
Did you
theory,
see-
and this is like...
I was just going to say, it's a little side story. When the pandemic was first, like, getting underway, a totally unrelated company that does something entirely different that happens to be named Zoom, their stocks went way up because people were thinking they were the communications company.
Way to go. That's really funny.
Anyway, what were you
good
going to say,
job.
DJ?
Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, my only half-baked theory, and it's very half-baked, is that I think Skype is owned by Microsoft, and I wonder if they just... Maybe they put it on the Teams, because they know, like, Teams is a thing. My job uses Teams, so maybe they're just like, we're done with Skype, we'll just do Teams. I don't know, it's a very half-baked theory.
It's
Why
possible.
have both? Yeah.
I mean, they do still have Skype on Windows machines. I have used it, but yeah, I think being owned by Microsoft is definitely part of it. Because I mean, my workplace, we all use Macs, so like Skype isn't even an option there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe Microsoft is the biggest failure, but I mean, they probably did really well. Their flight simulator game, people like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, all those people who gathered on Epstein's Island.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This one's for you, King. Did you guys watch the SNL jokes? The ones where they did each other's super racist jokes? Yeah. The Michael Che's one where he ended with Jeffrey Epstein. He did the piece, Rest in Power, King. so funny. It was such a good joke. But anyway, all right. So guys, we got 2 more 2020 awards. Okay. So guys, let's look at the next thing, the opposite. The biggest winner of 2020. Blank was the biggest winner of 2020. DJ, who do you think was the biggest winner of 2020?
So I think that BTS was the biggest winner of 2020.
Oh, okay.
That's a bold claim. All right.
Well, all right. I have a very specific reason, and I think it's a good one. So, not sure how much you guys are listeners are familiar with BTS, but they are a K-pop band from South Korea, obviously, they're probably one of the biggest K-pop bands who are big in the West. Like
the only one I can name. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I can't think of a band that's more famous than them, at least, in America and like Europe and stuff like that. So they've really transcended as like a global K-pop K-pop like band. Sorry. They range in age from 18 to 28. The like 7 or 8 of them. There's a ton of them. So the oldest one was 28. South Korea has a law that you have to do like military service or some kind of service toward the government for 2 years, and you have to do it before you're 28. So there was going to be this whole thing where basically the guy who was the oldest one was going to sign up for his military service, and the band was going to basically break apart because 2 years off, you lose a lot of steam, and a lot of them wanted to go do their own solo acts anyway, so the band had planned to disband. The South Korean parliament, this was in like December of 2020, passed a law that for like certain famous, South Korean people who they basically bring notoriety to South Korea can wait until they're 30 to do this. So BTS gets another 2 years of making music. They get all that money. The BTS army's thrilled, and honestly, they just want to keep postponing and postponing.
The BTS army, not the army that could have BTS
right,
in it.
Yeah.
They're probably like, "Where is BTS? We need them." At least one of them, I think. I can't remember.
How are we going to start our diva squadron now without BTS?
That would be great. Oh my god.
The BTS army is the fans of BTS. So, I think the fact that the band isn't going to break up is a huge news story. So, I think you want to talk about winning 2020, being able to stay as part of your pop group for at least another 2 years and being able to, again, rake in all that money. They missed out on a lot of concerts in 2020. They'll be able to, do those in late 2021 going into 2022. So I just think that BTS really made out with being to stay together for at least another 2 years.
I mean, they did also have one of the biggest songs of the year. I don't know what it's called, but I know they did. It came up in trivia. Do you know what it's called?
I don't.
Yeah, okay, never mind. It's some song.
Okay.
They also, and I think, so one of my winners of 2020 was going to mention the teens of TikTok. Remember when they screwed over that one Trump rally? Was that this year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, go for them. That's the BTS, the K-pop stands. That's a fun thing.
They also did the thing with for the hashtag Proud Boys. They had a lot of like the LBGT stuff trending on Twitter. So if you did hashtag Proud Boys, you found like LGBT rights stuff. So
yeah,
that was like awesome. So
the K-pop stands, they had a year. I'm sure they did some really annoying things too, but usually at least they pointed their annoying in the right direction a couple of times.
Exactly,
for good.
So yes,
like the Hulk.
Good
one,
good
DJ.
for you, TikTok teens. Yeah, thank
BTS,
you.
TJ's biggest winner of 2020. Diggins, what about you? Who's your biggest winner of 2020?
So for me, I gave this some thought, pondered and puzzled for a little while, and I gotta say, I think the biggest winner of 2020 has got to be Nintendo.
Wow, that's a
bold-ass statement.
Yeah,
that's a bold-ass statement.
Explain it.
So when the lockdown started and the pandemic was going on, that was right around when Nintendo released the newest Animal Crossing on Switch. And that became a massive phenomenon. Like, you couldn't go on Twitter without seeing people playing Animal Crossing for, like, months. People were logging in every day, playing Animal Crossing, people going to each other's islands. It became like this outlet for everyone to kind of still see their friends, hang out with them, experience like outdoors, feel like they have some control. And as part and parcel of that, it was impossible to find a Switch for months in 2020.
That's true.
People were buying them out. And it's not like it was like the PS5 had a similar problem, but that was when it launched and they just like didn't make enough of them. This was this console that's been out for years. For years.
Yeah, for a while.
I think at least 2 years.
I can remember playing it like 3 apartments ago at someone's house. So yeah, it's been there.
Yeah, it's been around for a bit, yeah.
And there's plenty around, but people were buying them up like crazy to the point where it was impossible to find. I have a friend who wanted to buy a Switch right when lockdown started for all these reasons, and I don't think she got one until like August.
Right in time for Tenet.
Right in time for Tenet.
Watch it on her Switch, just like Christopher Nolan intended.
And, they've had a couple other cool releases since then. They released that Super Mario 3D All-Stars with Super Mario 64 Sunshine and Galaxy on it.
Yeah.
They did that Super Mario Bros. 35, which was kind of a neat spin on the Battle Royale concept. And, a few cool things like that. That Mario Kart Live Circuit, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. But I think the most important thing is just that period of like 5 months where they were just utterly dominant. I have to imagine they did extremely well based off of that alone. And just the early lockdown is just, they were kind of the face of it. Like the whole time. That was Nintendo's time. And so that's why I think that they're probably the big winners of 2020, where they're the ones that all this really paid off for.
I have a hard time picking Nintendo over Sony just on this console was better than this one just because Sony had some good games. However, I will say Nintendo did also finish its theme park last year, so that was a 2020 thing. They haven't opened it yet, I don't think, but it is finished. I saw the walkthrough direct that they did. It looks pretty cool. I want them to make it in not Japan, like somewhere around here. But that's something. And they also put that fucking Blockman in Smash. Everyone loves him. The Blocks.
Minecraft
guy.
And they put Minecraft Steve in Smash, and then they put Sephiroth in Smash.
Oh yeah, they killed Mario a bunch of times in the cartoons. In like the cinematic, he stabs him right through the heart, but not really, but pretty much.
Canonically, Sephiroth has killed Mario.
Yeah. So that's fun, I guess.
And guys, let's not forget everyone's favorite, Joker from Persona 5.
Oh yeah, the Joker! The one from
Joker.
The Steps. The dances, yeah. He's the Joker. And
yeah.
they had that weird circle that you couldn't find. The one, what the fuck was it called? Some sort of like balance board kind of thing.
The Ring Fitness?
Yes. That's it. The Nintendo Ring or something.
That was
another
Ring
thing.
Ring Fit Adventure. That was it. Yeah, that was also something that was just utterly impossible to find for months and months and months.
It did come out in 2019 though, so I
it did.
Like
it did, but it did come out, but like the Switch, it just got this huge renaissance this year.
Yeah, it's just like gangbusters. I wasn't sure when you first said it, Dickens, but you've convinced me. They really
convinced me.
I think part of this too, like Michelle's a huge Animal Crossing player, and I don't know if you experienced this, Diggins, but like I know that she said that like Animal Crossing was like a good escape from some of the horrible pandemicness. So I think that was like probably a really good outlet for a lot of people. So
I think I'd be with you, Diggins, if there were two games, two absolute A+ winners. And I just can't think of more than Animal Crossing. I'm looking on a list right now of like top games, and I'm sure there's some that came out on both, but it's a very like, I mean, Among Us probably is on it. But that's the only thing that's holding me back, because if there was another game, I would totally be with you. But how about this, guys? I got a biggest winner of 2020.
Oh,
all right.
Superheroes saying bad language words. All the best things for that. You got Doom Patrol. Now, 2020 was the year, because of HBO Max, we all discovered Doom Patrol, the show, which is great. And they say bad language words. Speaking of HBO Max, we also all discovered Harley Quinn this year, which is also great, where they say bad language words. Speaking of HBO Max, Zack Snyder says that in the Snyder Cut, Batman says fuck, which is a bad language word.
That's how you know that the Snyder Cut is going to be more mature than Justice League.
It's not your
Batman says the
fuck
word.
Yeah.
He says fuck. And then on top of that, you got Umbrella Academy was this year. Very good season of Umbrella Academy. I think it was Netflix's most watched or second most watched thing. They're pretty like tight with the numbers on that, but I know it was in the top 3, I think. And then on top of that, you had The Boys, which I think is the big hit of 2020. And like Boys season 2 was just so entertaining and exciting, and I loved. I think it was probably my favorite show of the year, outside of a couple of like kind of limited series. But like when it comes to a season of television that was ongoing and like gets you excited for the next one and builds on the themes of the last one, and I've said this before, is based off of a comic book that is almost unreadable because it's so bad. It's like insane that The Boys is this good, and it's been able to kind of keep the momentum going. And also, I think this year, one of the things that I think is so interesting about this year, having watched season 1 and season 2, and like parts of season 1 recently, I hadn't as much before. Season 1, Vought is very much, Vought being the company that's behind The Boys, it's like bankrolling them, is kind of like a Walmart. And it's kind of like an entertainment company, but it seems very much more like an Amazon, which I'd say it continues. But this season of Boys, Vought became Disney, and it became like more of a media company. They were filming a movie that had an Avengers scene in it, and they were doing rewrites of scripts and stuff like that. And like I think in a year where there were no Marvel movies, and Birds of Prey, the superheroes said bad language words in that too. I forgot about that. But where there were no Marvel movies, and this was just like this time where all the superheroes got to stand in a room and yell at each other and like curse and scream and get it out of their system before the Marvel movies get back into it. But yeah, I'd say superheroes saying bad language words was the big winner of 2020.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know. Dickens, did you watch The Boys? I know DJ did. I can't remember.
I haven't watched The Boys, but I'm actually quite intrigued by it, and I might start at some point.
You should.
Here's
some things right and some things wrong, but overall I think it's I think the parts of it that work, everyone says mostly Homelander, although I think there's a lot of good stuff beyond Homelander, but the parts that like really click are you don't see that stuff anywhere else.
Well, I know it has Aya Cash in it, and I'm always going to support her.
She's in season 2, and she's terrific, but she does not show up in the first season.
Okay, but here's my pushback on your point, Nando. where I understand what you're saying, where all those things were popular and good in 2020. But is superheroes saying bad language words the reason those things are popular and good?
I think the superheroes that said bad language words were the things that were popular and good. And in a way that, like, this so I guess...
But are they... I wouldn't say that they're the winners, because that's not, like, the thing about them that people like. There just happened to be things that fit in that category that were good this year.
So I think the reason that worked this year is, I think it's two things. Number one, I think that was 2020 was the year superheroes saying bad language words worked, because it was post-MCU, post-Endgame, and people were like, give me something new. And the something new, we all decided, I guess 2 years ago when they started making all these shows, was they say bad language words. But also, I think 2020 was a year where we were, I wouldn't say we were like, I would say we were negative as a culture. Obviously, things weren't going very well. But I do think we were like, 2020 was the year when we wanted things like superheroes, and which... it just makes sense because they're the dominant media presence of, you know, the world, but also the only real genre that I would say has, like, cohesion these days. Next, I guess maybe, like, horror, but otherwise it's like, oh, is this science fiction or is this action? But, like, superheroes, you're like, you know a superhero movie when you see one. I think that this was the year they all got real, kind of. Like, it was like, nah, they say fuck, and they're mad, and they're depressed, and they yell at each other, and they all have, like, you know, psychological issues that they all have to work through. So I don't think saying bad language words is the reason that they were all good. But I would say all the good ones said bad language words. And that was something that they all had in common. And I don't think that Wonder Woman 84 could have benefited necessarily from some bad language words. But I do think that the thing with Doom Patrol or Boys is like a very conscious decision of, like, this is what it is. It is more mature, and we're going for... like this audience that we're going to hit on this themes and whatever. And those are completely different kinds of shows, but they still both say bad language words. But with like the Wonder Woman 84, it's kind of like they're the one that was sticking around and being like, we're going to be for everybody. We're going to be for everybody on this entire planet. We're going to make $1 billion. And it was like, I think 2020 was the year we, as a society, were like, that's all we want this year. We want them to curse at each other and be like us. We want frustration from our superheroes. No, thank you. It doesn't help that Wonder Woman 84 wasn't very good, but I don't know. I think there was something there. And I don't think next year will be superheroes saying bad language words. I think this 2021, there will be some of that still, obviously, because these shows will all get sequels. But I think it will kind of balance out. And I also think a lot of this has to do with the move, like television being the medium where these are distributed now. And you can make a show that has to reach 20 million people maybe, but not make $1 billion to be successful. And, you know, because there weren't movies, all of these different TV shows were able to capitalize on that and be the biggest thing in entertainment this year. I think you could maybe make the case for Mandalorian, but besides that, I think Boys was the biggest show of 2020. Do you guys agree?
Well, I'm pretty...
show or superhero show?
Show. Just television show.
Nah.
No.
Beyond what? Mandalorian, but then
back.
What else?
Like, Mando's a hefty favorite, but
I don't know.
Go back in the memory bank.
I don't think there's much. Like, I think there's, like I said, I think there's like limited series, which I would say like something like Queen's Gambit, which I don't think was bigger than The Boys, but I would count that in its own category. But I'm talking just like a season of television came out. I also think The Boys was really smart this year because they released the episodes weekly, which gave us all time to go to each other and go, oh my God, did you see what happened at the end of last week? Oh my, what do you think's going to happen next?
Well, same with Mando, right?
Yeah, I think those are the two. I think those two proved that that's what you should be doing in 2020, in 2021 and stuff. And I think the other ones, even like Umbrella Academy, which I really liked, like that, you were like, that was good, and then it was gone, and we all kind of forgot about it. But I think Boys was one of the only shows in 2020 that had that release schedule, and it really benefited from it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think The Boys was the biggest show of this year, just in terms of like hearing people talk about it. I can't, but also I can't think of another one besides maybe Emily in Paris.
So
Bridgerton.
It did.
Yeah.
It did come
Tiger
out forever
King
ago.
Tiger King I'm also counting as a series, like limited series, more like a like the Queen's Gambit.
What about Westworld? Because Westworld season 3 did come out.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Westworld season 3 was such a bummer, and also there's so many people post Westworld, and I'm sure there's things about it that were good, but from what I saw, which was most of it, and so it was like a lot in the beginning and then a lot at the end, some stuff in the middle I missed, but
oh dude, it's Schitt's Creek. Like,
oh
right.
yeah, no, yep. That was the Zeitgeist show.
Yeah, again, I think Schitt's Creek suffers from the same problem. Well, Schitt's Creek has two problems going for it. Number one, it all gets dumped at the same time. Right, that's not good. I think streaming is moving towards the episodic release schedule. But then also, when did it come out? Because when was it on Canadian TV?
Season 6?
Yeah, because it's got a different release schedule. Because it just came on Netflix not super recently. But, well, it was on Netflix, but there's something about the way it's aired that I think hurts it a little bit. I do think it's big, and I think it won a lot of awards, and it's it's very good. And I think you could say that's the comedy and The Boys is the drama of 2020, or like the kind of big budget prestige Game of Thrones kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I think Westworld was trying to be what The Boys ended up being, but Westworld was also a show that I think most people had, not most people, but a lot of people had given up on because they were like, I liked the first one, the second one was dumb, I'm not going to watch this anymore. This is confusing. I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I got that vibe from a lot of people.
Well, if you want to talk about, remember that happened in 2020. Like season 6 dropped early 2020, like January 2020. Schitt's Creek. Sorry.
Schitt's Creek.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Season 6. Yeah, season 6.
I don't think that helped it in terms of being the thing of the year because we all couldn't experience it at the same time. Which is something that's what I think The Boys. Listen, I don't know what the numbers are, but I have a feeling The Boys is the most watched TV show of 2020.
Oh, no, I can't get behind that.
Well,
the most watched TV show of 2020 is going to be some milquetoast sitcom on CBS or something.
No,
or like sure CSI, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, most popular TV shows of 2020. Amazon, it's The Boys. The Boys enjoyed a stronger Season 2 launch than Mando Season 1 or Stranger Things Season 3, which are the two biggest ones on record. But again, it's so...
Oh, it was a great show. Oh my god, guys, BoJack Horseman ended this year. What We Do in the Shadows Season 2 was this year.
The Good Place ended this year.
The Good Place was, yeah. Oh my god! So much
sorry,
good TV
Nando.
show.
The Boys.
The latest season
all three of those.
The latest season of Better Call Saul.
Oh! Hold on. Let's take it one at a time. First of all,
one at a time.
BoJack Horseman. It's absolutely bigger than BoJack Horseman. BoJack Horseman is so niche.
Is it?
Yes.
Or do I just surround myself with people who watch and
I
talk
think
about
you
it?
surround yourself with people that watch and talk about it. What was the other one you said? Because the other one was worse. Oh, not worse, but What We Do in the Shadows, equally niche. I don't think it's... I think there's better shows than The Boys, but I think...
Those are phenomenal shows, and I feel like they were pretty big in the conversation.
I mean, maybe they were kind of big, but they were not as big as The Boys. I didn't really see that many people talk about The Boys. I don't know. Maybe we just run in different circles, but The Boys was not a very big phenomenon in what I saw. See, I'm looking for a biggest... I want some number. Because they do say they don't release numbers on everything, but they do release numbers on what's what wins. Amazon would say guys, this is the big one for us.
See, that's the reason I would argue The Good Place. It's a network television show, and that's what people watch just because it's on their TV.
I mean,
so,
there's probably something to that, but
yeah. So everyone I know is watch The Good Place. I feel like that's a very obvious front runner for giant 2020, and that ended in 2020.
I also think that doesn't help. I think it's kind of like a you're on board or you're not thing. I want I just want a list. All I want is one list of.
There's Rotten Tomatoes list. I don't know how they put that together, but that's how I.
Oh, where'd you find? Is this But I'm talking of, which one is definitively ratings. This one got.
Yeah, see, I don't have that because they're number 1, The Babysitters Club Season 1. And it's get out of here.
Oh well, that's based on the ratings of the shows, of their Rotten Tomato scores. I want.
I know, like they're weird. You want like the actual numbers of people watching.
Yeah.
It's hard with the streaming services. I will say I would not discount Schitt's Creek because that's another one that's just like widely loved and watched, and like I think spans like you want to call it like BoJack Niche, fine, but Schitt's Creek like goes to so many different audiences. Like a lot of different people watch that show.
I mean, okay. So on this list, this is a list. This is by the New York Post, but it's the most popular streaming shows of 2020.
And I bet The Boys is right at the top, huh?
Now I got a couple of them. I mean, none of the ones that you guys have said. Ted Lasso's on there. Little Fires Everywhere.
Yeah,
Don't know what
I would
that
argue
is.
that's bigger than The Boys. Ted Lasso.
Have you watched Ted Lasso?
Everyone I know watches Ted Lasso, and I have so much FOMO. But I don't want to get Apple TV Plus.
That's what people say. I think that's kind of what Ted Lasso is. It's a vocal minority that's like, oh, you gotta watch Ted Lasso. I don't know. It's Amazon's most watched original series with an 89% audience growth from season 1. But I don't know. It got a spin-off this year. I think The Boys is pretty big.
I think it's also hard to know because we can't really trust anything the streaming companies say about watch numbers because
That is true.
They're so opaque about that stuff.
Yeah, I guess we'd need to there would need to be some metric that's like, this is what I don't even know what it would be, how you would figure this number out. But
we break into Jeff Bezos' mansion and say, give us the numbers.
Oh my God, that would be great. But I do think, I don't know, I think The Boys is big. I think between the ones I said, between Boys, Doom Patrol, Umbrella Academy, Harley Quinn, big numbers. And the Harley Quinn movie, whatever the fuck it's called, Birds of Harley Quinn and Friends. Guys, who is the big who like 2020 was the year of blank? Who was that? Who was 2020 the year of? DJ, you're first, right?
Sure. Okay, I'm going to say that 2020 was the year of LA sports.
Okay.
I mean, listen.
Who we got?
All right, so the first one's like very sad, but Kobe Bryant passed away. That was like before coronavirus, so that was like a huge cultural moment. Like that should have been my, hey, remember what happened in 2020? Like Kobe died. That was in 2020. Dodgers won the World Series. Lakers won the NBA championship. So like that alone, 2 sports championships in one city in the same year, like that's like almost case closed for like, oh yeah, this city like won like the sports thing. And I feel like if there wasn't like all this other shit going on in the world and like sports kind of rise to the top more, but because like I don't think there's a big appetite for it because like we don't deserve sports right now because we're horribly managing a fucking pandemic. But if it was like a normal year, like I think that stuff would rise to the top. Like the Chargers like are gonna have the Rookie of the Year quarterback. Like the Rams have a decent shot at winning the Super Bowl. Like I feel like the like LA sports is like really really high now, but like no one really cares because it's LA. If it was like what's like a good example? If it was like Milwaukee sports are all killing it right now, like people would be losing it, or even like New York sports, like if the Knicks were amazing, which they might be, people would be losing their mind. But because it's like LA, it's like, oh, the Dodgers are front runners. Oh, LA has LeBron, obviously they're gonna win. But like 2 championships in one calendar year, I think that's a pretty big deal. So I do think 2020 was the year of LA sports, even though I think it went kind of overlooked. So, yeah. You guys have thoughts?
Sure, I guess. I mean, it's weird that it's tough because this year, I would say the biggest thing that happened in sports this year was the Michael Jordan documentary about Michael Jordan.
I know.
So it's hard for me to pick anything as the sports thing over that. But
yeah, I get that.
Part of that was like, I guess, just wanting to reminisce and be like, this is
just like most of the 90s. 2020 sports year was all about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, also, it was in the middle of a no sports and like content drought, right? So like if you look at it in the context of we were starved for something new, in comes the Michael Jordan documentary because that was released early. To help fill that void.
Yeah.
And it was released episodically. The original plan was ESPN was just going to drop it all at once. But they're like, nah, we got to stretch this out. So, yeah. Makes you think.
What about you, Diggins? You got anything? What was 2020 the year of?
I'm going to say that 2020 was the year of streaming. But I mean this in many ways. Now, obviously, the streaming services, your Netflixes, your HBO Maxes, your Hulus, etc., all got a big boost this year because we no longer had access to many other sources of entertainment that required leaving your home. So they got movie releases. They got huge boosts in viewership, probably. Again, hard to say since they don't really release numbers. And that was a huge thing. But also, did you guys know it was basically impossible for large parts of this pandemic to find, like, a webcam or streaming equipment?
That. Yeah,
because
it was hard to
so
find
many...
whatchamacallit, arcade stick, right? Or not, flight stick. Those were, like, really hard to find. Because
people wanted that kind of connection so much that tons of people were going out there buying webcams and other equipment, microphones, other equipment necessary to start streaming on Twitch, start streaming, playing games with their friends, doing like cool hangouts on Zoom with friends, just innovating all these different ways to connect with each other, to spend time together over the internet in ways where you could still kind of like see each other and feel like in some way you're still hanging out. And so I just think this year is defined in all the multitudinous ways that one can call something streaming. It was defined by those. Whether that is watching Tiger King or The Boys, or whether that is streaming Among Us with your friends, or whether that's going on a Zoom hangout call for your friend's birthday and everyone takes a shot. Just all these different streams were how we absorbed and processed 2020. And so there's nothing else I could say this was a year of other than streaming.
Definitely the alcohol part, taking the shot. You almost sold me on the year of alcohol. I mean, there's something there. I think you can go a little bit further. I think you can get a little bit more specific about what this year was. If you'll allow, I think 2020 was the year of Disney, baby. I think Disney not only released some things that everybody liked, but also didn't release some things everybody liked. And after watching other companies go like, Wonder Woman, and them just go, nah, we're gonna wait on Black Widow. We'll figure this out. We don't need to sell everything at like a garage sale price to get you guys to float the company for a couple of years. We'll be okay. I think Disney really. Now listen.
Wait. Hold on.
What do you think was the single most streamed piece of content of this year?
That's so hard to judge.
Well, that TikTok of that guy drinking cranberry juice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Apparently, there is information about what television show or movie was watched by the most people. It is something that Disney Plus had that did not produce. It was Hamilton. Disney Plus and Hamilton was a humongous winner for them. And I'm sure that bought in a bazillion, memberships and stuff like that. But so they had Hamilton. They also had The Mandalorian, which I think is probably the biggest show. Who knows what the numbers don't get released, but it's one of the biggest shows. And I would say more than The Boys, it probably has bigger watch numbers just because it's more family friendly. And it's for everybody. But, like, The Mandalorian was the biggest blockbuster of this year, kind of. Like, there was no blockbuster movie that I think was as good and just as blockbuster as The Mandalorian was. On top of that, they had all kinds of other stuff, Disney Plus, that they had just prepared, like other series. Earth to Ned is one of my favorites. But they also had, like, the little Star Wars holiday special. And all kinds of other weird stuff throughout this year. They also had Onward and Soul, both fine. Soul was good. And then, they were able to dump their trash, right? They got rid of Artemis Fowl and Mulan, and they're going to have a ridiculous 2021. And I think part of why they're going to win 21 is because they also won 2020 by not going bankrupt. I think they were able to win 2020 as well.
I was going to say, Nando, you're gonna talk about the good release decisions of a company that not only released Artemis Fowl in 2020, but then charged people extra money to see Mulan.
Yeah, that's a hit. I
mean, did it hit them though? Really? They charged people money for a bad movie that they could have released for free and did get money, but they would have just released it for free anyway. This movie wasn't good.
I won't call them a winner. I won't call them a winner, though.
I mean, they had the two biggest things of the year. Hamilton and Mandalorian were the two biggest shows of this year, and they had both of them. So I don't think they can not win, honestly. And I think all of the things they did, they were able to do and survive, and their competitors tried to keep up with and just collapsed. I think the Disney Plus HBO Max, like Disney Warner Brothers fight was the big one of this year. To see, like, how is this going to play out? They both have, movies coming out this year. They both have TV shows. They both have streaming services full of content. How are they each going to play it? And I think even though some of Disney's individual gambits didn't work out, and I don't think Artemis Fowl, I think you're going to make you're going to make a bad movie, but it came and went and everybody forgot about it, and they didn't have to release it in theaters. So I think that's a win. But I think when you look at how all the other media companies fared, I think Disney killed it this year. I can't see, look at all of the stuff they were able to actually get away with. The Mandalorian is the biggest show of the year. It was the most talked about thing. They also released it weekly, which was great. And yeah, I think Hamilton in the 4th of July or whatever they released that was huge. We're talking about things everybody actually watched, and I heard everybody talking about this. Every single person was talking about Hamilton. Everybody saw it.
I don't disagree with that, but I think the Disney thing, I don't think you could spin the 21 stuff into the 20. I think they're separate, and might be stealing some thunder from some other folks.
I think so. Here's the thing with that. I think you can keep the 20. I think they're one and the same, because you wouldn't have the 21 stuff without the 2020 stuff. So
yes and no. I think some were going to happen anyway. How about this? If this were Warner Brothers, right, in the same situation based off of the moves they made, I think they would have rushed WandaVision out this year. I think they would have rushed Falcon and the Winter Soldier out this year half done, because they are bleeding numbers and they're like, oh my God, we have to make money. If we don't make money now, we won't be able to be solvent, and we need to get X amount of, millions of streaming customers, and they didn't have to do that because they had enough content to float them through this year. I mean, listen, I think the fact that Disney Plus owns Hocus Pocus is enough for me to automatically give them the win every year, because I'll open that thing every year on Halloween and watch that whole, that's
that
fair.
whole show.
That's fair.
But
are you going to watch the Hocus Pocus sequel, Nando?
Yeah.
Fuck no, absolutely not. Who can it possibly be? They're going to get all of them back? They're going to get the whole crew, all those actors whose careers went nowhere, and the witches? No, thank you. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Disney Plus, and you know what else about Disney and the way they kind of played this? I think putting Onward on Disney Plus quickly was very smart. I think they made a lot of really interesting moves. They got Rise of Skywalker out really quickly to kind of placate the early pandemic audience on Disney Plus.
I'm not going to call... There's no amount of releasing Rise of Skywalker, no matter the context, that I'm going to call a good decision.
Well, I'm with you there, but I think when the pandemic started and the companies had to figure out what to do, I think Disney was the only one that actually seemed nimble and able to play the field in a way that not just kept them going, but probably got them some subscribers and kept them at the let them grow. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but I don't think you can separate the 2020 wins from the 2021 wins. And I think the fact they were able to stick around is a 2020 win.
All right.
So you're saying the greatest win of all in 2020 is merely surviving?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. Plus Ratatouille on TikTok. What else do you need? What other Disney things? I'm trying to think of other Disney things.
They didn't benefit from that. That was just something that some people did.
I mean, I watched Ratatouille because of it. So that's something. I didn't watch the little TikTok musical, though. Is it any good?
Diggins wrote a newsletter about Ratatouille. Everyone's getting in on it.
Did.
I would have written that anyway, even without the Ratatouille. Although Ratatouille is good, and I am happy it happened. I'm fully supportive of that whole endeavor.
All right.
Yeah. Well, all right, that's 2020, except for one more thing. The most important part of 2020 is mostly nitpicking. What was your guys' favorite podcast of 2020?
So I'm trying to not be hyperbolic, and I'm scrolling through, and I don't know whether it is to... should I go first?
Go first, DJ.
It's the Quibi Pod. Like, for me, it has to be the Quibi Pod. Because it
Really?
was such, like... See, it lives in a like very specific moment in time. I remember having a lot of fuck ups on that pod, and I feel like the more I fuck up, the better. And yeah, it was like just so delicious. I think that pod was. I think it was a delicious pod.
Oh, Diggins, what was your favorite pod of 2020?
Listen, guys, there's only one right answer to this question, and we
what is
all forget that this came out in 2020, but it did.
I know what you're going to say.
It's got to be the Cats Pod, right?
Yeah,
it's got to
I
be the
know.
Cats Pod.
The Cats pod was great.
It was.
I see. I want to cheat and say all of them, but I think we had some. I think there were a lot of pods that weren't those two, which were the best two, that were also really, really good. I think the Ma pod from this year was really, really good.
Ooh, yeah, that was.
I think the Most Dangerous Game pod from this year was really fun, and the one after that was Money Plane, and that was great. Like, I think there's a 4, maybe 5 pod stretch that was really good. We did Quibi, that was July 17th. 24th is Most Dangerous Game. 3rd of August is Money Plane. August 11th is Bloodshot, and then August 19th is Mac and Me. I think those 5 were probably the 5 that I'm like the most like just that they stuck with me. Obviously, Cats was huge, but yeah, I mean there were some real winners in there.
After Mac and Me, we hung ourselves by doing DC Fandom. Really fucking.
I mean, there weren't things like I remember thinking, what could we possibly do?
DC Fandom is we were just going to talk about that at the beginning of another pod, and then we talked about it for so long that we're like, I think this is just the pod.
Right, because the Green Lantern was the one after that, and that's what we were going to do for that episode.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I'll also say that last year was the year we did, 2020 was the year we did The Mummy. So that was big. And then it was also the year we went through the Scooby-Doo's. To Scoob, which maybe not like the most egregious of movies, so not the most insanely fun to nitpick, but just like fun to talk about. I remember those fondly. And then
there is
New Mutants.
There is
that was pretty
one
good.
thing about 2020 pods that I think was a big negative that really brought down the quality of the show.
That one. Let me guess.
A little detail.
Leave Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, this is the year the first full year I've been on the pod, which clearly makes it much worse than it used to be.
That's right. Well, that was why I was going to say Leave Extraordinary Gentlemen, the one you didn't end up on. You were on a secret mission, so me and DJ had to do that one alone.
I was going to be really mean and say the best pod was Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, I was
going to
say that too.
But I decided not to do that.
I couldn't figure out which one of you to throw under the bus since I was on both of them, but yeah.
It was, though.
The Jupiter Ascending one was fun. I mean, that's such a good movie. The Bees,
I really...
royalty.
I really stacked the deck by picking Jupiter Ascending on that one. That movie's insane.
I'm glad I saw it. I didn't enjoy it, but I am, as a Wachowski fan, I'm glad that I have seen it. But it is bizarre. I mean, I think all of them were the best ones. The Quibi one was best, and then also Cats. And all the ones I said. And all the ones in between.
Oh.
Remember what we did
Unfriended?
That one
Nando
was fun.
Unfriended was fun.
Hollow Man was fun. We got to some movies that I've been waiting to get to for a while.
Okay,
We did Speed Racer this year. Oh.
Here's a subset question of this category. What was your favorite bit of 2020?
Oh, this is hard.
My favorite bit of 2020.
I have to go through the pods. Oh my god, we did Crazy Stupid Love. Oh my god.
My favorite bit. I've got to kind of.
Okay, I got mine. All
right, what's yours?
Me obviously not finishing Speed Racer.
Oh yeah,
that's mine.
I think we can just broaden that to DJ doesn't finish movies as being
it's
a bit.
the only fun. It's the and Trolls. Listen, it was rough early in the pandemic.
What about you, Diggins? What's your favorite bit of the pod?
I'm gonna go with every time one of us does an impression, thinking we'll do it for one line, and then the other two just immediately back them into the corner of having to do it for like multiple minutes at a stretch, even though none of us ever want to do that, and even though we know the others will make us do that if we ever do an impression.
That was a fun one. Remember that time Adam Driver was on the show?
Oh, I love him. Can he come back?
What did he sound like?
Please?
I can't remember.
And the several times Michael Caine has been on the podcast.
That's right, from Tenet. That one scene in Tenet that he didn't know he was in until it was over.
Yeah, what a guy.
I think my favorite bit of this year was, and it's a bit we do some version of every year, but this year it really came to a head with New Mutants being released, was when we talked about a movie that wasn't going to come out, or like didn't acknowledge a movie's actual existence, much like we did with Fad Four Stick in years past. But New Mutants was this year where we were just like, it'll come out. No, it won't. We didn't see it. It didn't exist.
I'm always a staunch believer that the movie's not going to come out. It doesn't matter how many times I'm proven wrong. The movie's not coming out.
I mean, I'm with you. It didn't come out. I wish it did, so we could be done with it. But it's going to haunt us for the rest of our lives. Yeah, I think those were all great ones. Also, Money Plane.
Yeah,
I can't remember what we said on the Money Plane podcast, but I remember that being good.
Money Plane one was good. That was
because Money Plane's a great movie, obviously.
Yeah, it makes sense in everything. It doesn't seem like some sort of tax scam. Not that it is, because it doesn't.
Well, if you want to pick a bit from that, it's Diggins always saying the full name of the Rumble.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
bit. And Nando never getting the name of the Rumble.
Dwayne Elizondo,
you mean Darius Emmanuel Grouch
the
III, a.k.a. the Rumble?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I
wish
want to be clear. I want to be clear to all the listeners out there. I have not looked that up since we did this episode. I just remember it.
I remember the word Mr. Montevarius from Scooby-Doo 1 more than I remember whatever that was you just said.
Darius Emmanuel Grouch III, a.k.a. the Rumble.
Montevarius, the Beast, Fraser the Third, a.k.a. the Fraser. That's what his name is, right? The Niles. Is Niles him? No, it's a different Frasier guy. Mm-hmm. I think our best bit... The existence of Money Plane as a thing we were always able to compare stuff to was good this year.
Yes.
Fucking awful. And there were just some phrases from Money Plane that was like, you can bet about how a man would have sex with an alligator on the Money Plane. Like, stuff like that was always fun. I still think, like, if someone was like, what's the money plan? I'm like, you could bet on a sex with an alligator. And they'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, I know you don't, because you're on the fucking money plane. That's so good. Yeah. This was not a great year for planes, I'll be honest. Between Tenet and Wonder Woman, Money Plane, probably some others. Not a great year for planes. And I think Quibi, the idea of Quibi existing... There were a lot of good Quibi moments this year. Just keeping up with the Quibi news. I mean, we had an emergency pod for Quibi. That was fun.
We did. It's our only emergency pod like ever.
Yeah. There was an insurrection the other day, and we didn't do an emergency pod for that. But we're doing one for Quibi. We got our priorities in order. Yeah. But guys, speaking of the insurrection, let's move on to 2021. You guys want to talk about 2021?
Already shaping up to be a great year.
What are we,
this
7
pod
days
might
in?
not age well.
We're going to talk about things from media in 2021. So these are predictions. These are things, like Lindsey Graham once said, hold me to these words. Use my words against me. We're going to say a bunch of things about 2021. And I want someone, probably Roger, or anyone, to write down all of these things and then, yell at us when we're right or wrong in the future.
Why are we giving Roger homework? It's so rude.
Yeah, Roger, do whatever you want.
I mean, you don't have to. I'm just saying, I would imagine a fine listener like Roger probably will. Any listener can be the new, I could be talking about any Roger. Roger Rabbit.
That's true.
Roger Rabbit. Who is that? I'm making up an off-brand Roger Rabbit. You guys watched that movie, right?
Oh, my God. Nando's definitely getting into the drink.
Who incriminated Roger Rabbit?
Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Vodka.
No, it's that movie is good. Remember how in that movie Donald Duck and Daffy play piano at each other?
I do
It's
remember that. Yeah.
That's terrific. We've never gotten better than that in cinema. We peaked. But guys, let's talk about 2021. This is something that we used to say in the previous, like some of these are things that are kind of general or things we made up, just like in the moment, because this will be the big hit, this will be the big bomb. But first I want to talk about something that we've talked about before in previous year in review, year before, like year look forward pods. And this is a question, guys. What will be 2021 will be the year that blank finally dies. I love this one. What do we think is going to finally die in 2021? DJ, I'll let you go first.
All right.
That's how this works every single time.
I guess so. We're here. We're here.
Yeah, that's where we're
I think that overall, 2021 will be the year that Fortnite finally dies.
Huh.
So
that's a bold claim.
So it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
It's still a massive game, but it's on a downward trend. And so I actually did research into this because I'm a crazy person and I had an inkling. But I think that with them kind of going crazy on the story by introducing a lot of Marvel stuff into it, and it just kind of capping out on its potential, and I think things like COD and even Apex are going to be able to pick up steam. Fortnite definitely has already peaked. It probably happened in like 2019. If just based on the number of players and revenue, but I think that it's going to be on a steep downcline, because if something should have been able to excel in the pandemic, it should have been Fortnite, but like it got overtaken by things like Among Us and Fall Guys. And those things just ate its lunch. So I think just going into 2021, I think we're finally just going to see the end of like mainstream Fortnite being a thing. It'll of course still be there, but I don't think it's going to be the juggernaut that it's been, for the past 2 or 3 years. I think we're finally going to see the king crumble.
No, I think there's something to that. It does seem like that game, it's been doing that thing where you're like, oh, when they get desperate, they'll start taking sponsorships from, like, Aquaman will be in the game, and The Mandalorian will be in the game, and stuff like that. So, there might be something there. I don't know, because I don't know anybody that plays that game, so I couldn't check if they were still playing it. Like,
it's good to know that you don't hang out with any 13-year-olds, Nando.
Well, it's funny. Even relatives I have. No. Well, I have a relative, I guess, that used to play it. I don't know if he still does. But you know what? No, I don't think he does anymore, because I think he switched. Maybe, I'm not sure if he completely switched this year. But what was it, like Modern Warfare Warzone or Call of Duty Warzone? One of those games. Yeah,
Warzone.
That was a big one this year.
Like crazy.
I think that really bled some Fortnite bled some market share that is just your straight up first person shooter to Warzone, and probably Apex. And what's the other one? Valorant. How's that doing?
Yeah. I don't know, but at least when it came out, that was like a significant dip for the Fortnite numbers. Was when Valorant was in the alpha or beta, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, when you had to like watch streams to get codes to play.
Yeah, that was brilliant, by the way. That was like a brilliant marketing thing for them, just to get out there. So,
and that one's still going. Like I still see it on the top of Twitch streams, not like on the top, but in the in the higher numbers. People still like it. And Apex too. I think Apex has had not like a rocky start. It had like a really big start, but then it seemed like it kind of dipped and it's been wavering, but Apex is doing very well. So yeah, I think that's not a crazy one, DJ. I think Fortnite might finally die, which is crazy because in Avengers Endgame, people were still playing it in 2025 or whatever the future was when Fat Thor was playing. So, maybe he's just behind the times.
I do think the Rise of Skywalker thing was a bit of an inflection point for it too. Yeah, I think that was a thing that like actually was like worse off for the game because people are like, this is effing stupid. Like it engendered a lot of bad will and didn't really add anything. So yeah, I think that was an inflection point. Yeah,
they did just get the Mandalorian though.
Yeah,
and the Halo.
Yeah, they got another weird one that I'm like, I get Mandalorian kind of because of the Disney thing, and the Halo just seems pretty desperate.
Mr. Halo.
Who was there another one from this year that's like not from this year, but from this most recent class? Because I know I kind of kept up with the Marvel one because it was canon kind of in the comics.
Yeah, it was like part of the story. So,
but yeah, I don't know whatever came after that. There's someone
Kratos
else in there.
Kratos,
maybe that's it. Yeah. Some characters, because I guess when you think of Iron Man or even Aquaman, who I know was I think before or like Deadpool and the people that were in the early one. You see them doing little emote dances, and you're like, yeah, you know what? That's not incredibly out of character, even for Thor. But for Kratos and Master Chief, it's a little weird. And for the Mandalorian, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Diggins, what about you? 2021
All
will
right.
be the year that what finally dies?
Okay. All right. You guys gonna have a huge reaction to this. Honestly, the framing of it is a little stronger than what I really mean, but I'm going to use it in the interest of being provocative.
Love it. What do you got?
2021 is the year that Marvel finally dies.
You monster. You're
Insane.
a monster.
Insane. But let's hear it.
Listen, I am being value neutral. This is a prediction, not a want. So we just had the first year since the original Iron Man came out with no Marvel movies, right?
No, that's not true. I think 2009 was the first year since Iron Man came out. Yes,
Okay.
there was a
The
year
first-
between 2008 and 2010.
Okay.
Iron Man's. But anyway, sorry, I just want to be really pedantic.
All right, fair enough. No, fair enough. So it's the first time in 11 years that there hasn't been a Marvel movie that year at all.
Correct.
And movie theater releases are still going to be, they're not going to come back till towards the end of 2021, probably. Even then, they'll probably only just start coming back in the latter half of the year. And so I just think people are going to sit with it and kind of realize, do I really need to see this? Because this, between having the time off, between lingering doubts about wanting to go to theaters at all, and between all of this taking place right after they finished the first storyline, I feel like there's going to be a sense of people being like, they don't need to come back to it. If this had happened before Infinity War came out or something, then obviously yes, everyone would stream back. Everyone wants to see the ending of it. But they got left off in this place where it's well, there's not that much left to happen. I mean, sure, yes, there's plenty of new storylines that are going to come up. I'm not saying they're out of ideas, but I'm just saying the timing combined with the theater skepticism combined with where they were in the storyline when we left off, I think the popularity is going to start dropping.
So I only have one question for you, Diggins, and I think it's going to destroy your entire argument. You made a lot of points about the movie theater itself. Did you know, Diggins, you have a movie theater inside of your very house, and 4 out of the 7 big Marvel releases of this year are shows.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing, Nando. I think the theater experience is so crucial to the Marvel movie enjoyability. I think what a lot of people like and get out of this is the social aspect of it. That they are the big releases that everyone goes, you get your friends together, you go see them, you have a good time. I think without that aspect, the popularity is going to drop.
That's a bold claim, my good sir.
Yeah.
That's a bold claim.
I mean, I think I think you could have made this point post Endgame, and I guess post Far From Home. But between Far From Home and Black Widow, I think you could maybe have said, people are done with the MCU. People don't need more average MCU content. They're going to turn on their TVs, or not turn the TVs, but they're going to go to the movies, or they're going to end up renting Black Widow, and they're going to be like, this is fine. And then they're going to be like, yeah, I guess I don't need to see this. And maybe they'll skip Black Widow, and that'll mean they'll watch the next one. They'll watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And they'll be like, I don't know who that one is because I didn't see her in Black Widow, so maybe I don't, maybe this isn't for me. I think WandaVision being the first one really changes that. I think we are going to be in 2021 in a content just drought in terms of big Hollywood stuff, production quality, specifically for television. I think there'll be lots of big, expensive movies that'll come out this year, a ton. But I think where it comes to things like Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, in that realm of prestige television, there's things probably like the Game of Thrones show that was probably supposed to come out in 21 that they weren't able to finish or just didn't even start because of the pandemic. But I think Marvel having WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If all on deck all more or less finished is what's going to keep everybody going. And I think Mandalorian, in the middle of bad Star Wars, like just Star Wars ill will, Mandalorian succeeding to me proves that Disney with good Marvel content can do the same thing. So as long as WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier,
there's the rub, isn't it? You're relying on them being good.
I mean, do you not think WandaVision looks like an absolute banger? It looks like a certified win. Absolutely.
Here's the thing. WandaVision looks like weirdos like me who want big, weird, different things are going to like. I don't know that the average person is going to like WandaVision.
I don't think you give the average person enough credit. I think the average person will be drawn in by the superheroes, but they'll stay for the weirdo stuff.
Possibly. I would be happy if that happened. But then also, Nando, you're making another point for me here, which is not only will we be going back to having movies all the time, but also all these TV shows are launching. We're going to hit a point of saturation that's going to feel like too much.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is the Marvel shows will be the only game in town, but will be the game. Like, and there's one every, like, they're not going to overlap with each other. It's going to be like a Marvel show and then another one and then another one and another one. But they'll all give each other just enough space so that I think you'll be able to either binge it in one sitting when it's all finished or watch it weekly. But I do think the weekly release is going to keep it in the zeitgeist. I also think there's something about the diversity of the movies that's going to help them really move forward in 2021. But we will see. But I think this is a bold claim. I'm down for bold claims. And, we'll check back up at the end of the year. I have a less bold one.
When the Disney company is bankrupt by 2022, we'll see who's laughing.
Yeah.
You monster. You're just trying to be incendiary for the purpose of it.
Well, I think if there is a movie that's going to come back and be the big theater movie that's like the Tenet, what Tenet wanted to be, I think the Marvel movies have a shot at that. I think there's a chance that Black Widow is the, like, guys, we're going back to the theater. Not because I think Black Widow is going to be the greatest movie ever, but I think people are going to want a Marvel movie or like a safe, fun group movie so badly that they can take this giant victory lap, and that will be the, you guys, culture left in 2019, and it was gone in 2020, but it's back in 2021. Guys, it's Marvel time again. I'm not positive about that. That part, I think, a lot of it depends on timing. But they've got 3, maybe 4 movies. 3 movies. I think it's 4, maybe 5 shows, depending on Miss Marvel. But between Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals, it just kind of depends on when the movie theaters really open. Which one is the big boss. But speaking of that, I've got a prediction, guys, and I'm so happy to say it. I think 2021 will be the year that the Snyderverse finally dies. I think so. I think we've got 2, maybe 3 as of last week, or like the whatever people listening to this pod, but like news that kind of half broke, but maybe even like 4. But okay, so first of all, you got Wonder Woman 84 not being a big hit, right? I think that Wonder Woman was the thing that you could kind of say, people don't really like the Snyderverse, but they like these Wonder Woman movies, so they'll stick around for the Snyderverse. And honestly, the Snyderverse should be long dead, based off of like Justice League and how much of a mess that was, and Superman and
based on the fact that there's like literally no good movies in it.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that like the movies that are good, like Shazam, I know but it is distancing itself from the Snyderverse by not showing Superman's face or whatever. But I think you've got the Snyder cut this year. Maybe, who knows? I think there's a good shot it doesn't come out, and they're just kind of stringing them along. But maybe it'll come out, and there's no way that will save the Snyderverse. But then there were like a couple news stories this week. So first of all, Ray Fisher apparently will not be in any more of these. He's had all kinds of public, spats with Warner Brothers, of varying, like, who knows what's going on behind the scenes. But so that one was the big one. But the big one was, did you guys see the story that broke this week that Ben Affleck won't be coming back for Flash, even though it was kind of set that was part of the Flashpoint movie plan? It was going to be like Ben Affleck's there, and so is Michael Keaton. And now the rumor, or like the news on the street is that Michael Keaton is the new Batman for that universe, which is bonkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But if that's true, there's no Snyderverse left. It's
true.
It was living and dying with Batman. And he was the thing that was like, because I think Wonder Woman 84 also does a fair amount of like, we're kind of part of the Snyderverse maybe if you really take some pretty big leaps in logic and continuity. But, technically I guess she wears the same costume, but I could see a future Wonder Woman that just ignores all of these Justice League, Wonder Woman, like, plot developments and just goes straight to a third Wonder Woman movie that takes place in the present day as if none of them happened. But I think the idea of a Batman that's Michael Keaton again is like, I just think there's nothing left, and I'm very okay with that. I never much cared for those movies, but it does seem like something that's been kind of half dying for a while, especially this year. And I think having the Snyder Cut come out felt like, that announcement felt like, oh, it's back, baby. And there was even a hashtag that was like, revive the Snyderverse, post-release the Snyder Cut. It was like, make more of them, and it's like. There's apparently a lot of problems, too, behind the scenes. There are executives that are like, we're spending $70 million on this thing. It's for nobody. Like, what are we doing? So, yeah, I think 2021 will be the year the Snyderverse finally dies.
And, now, I don't disagree with you at all about the quality of any of those things and how bad they are and how disinterested a general audience is going to be in them. But all that stuff's already true, and he still has this weird cabal of fans that forces all this stuff to happen. So I don't know.
I guess it's that I think the cabal will just dissipate. I think the studio heads will see the Snyder Cut maybe come out and go like, yeah, this isn't getting the numbers we kind of hoped. And now all the signups left, and they're not going to stick with us, so screw it. Let's not even. I'd love to believe that. Not because I think those people are bad or anything, but just those movies they're not good. And they need to be
Anyone
done.
Who's willing to stick with Zack Snyder after Batman vs. Superman is never going to leave him.
That's
true.
Well, I also think
Super
he's
true.
putting out a new movie this year. He's doing a Dawn of the Dead sequel or something. That is, as far as we know, not in the Snyderverse. Although, apparently...
Oh, God.
Did you see this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
No.
Okay. So they released a picture of this zombie movie. It's one of those, zombie movies where everybody wears rags and tatters and frowns. And they're in a bank vault. That was the picture that they released. Like Batista's in it, I think. In the bank vault, there was just stacks of money. And if you pay attention, you look on the far left of the picture, there are some canisters that would contain film reels. And if you match it up with other things he's posted on his Instagram, apparently the Snyder Cut is in that vault. So the Snyder Cut, that movie does not exist within the Snyderverse, but the Snyderverse exists within whatever the Deadiverse that these are. So I don't know. I think his fans, when Warner Brothers screws them over by swapping out their Batman and maybe not making Warner Justice League the way they want, will be very happy to leave them for whatever the next thing he does is, and he's finally doing something else. So fingers crossed. Guys,
Indeed.
I got a question for you. What'll be the big hit of 2021? DJ, I'll start with you since that's how all of these go.
Apparently so.
Apparently.
I think that the Lord of the Rings TV show will be the big hit of 2021.
You think that's getting made?
I do. Well, because it is being made in New Zealand, which is the safest place on Earth. So,
That is true.
I think that the odds are super good that happens. Look, I think that Game of Thrones left a sour taste in our mouth. We know that the Lord of the Rings has a fully fleshed out, finalized story that can be used. You don't need to make stuff up. The two showrunners are relatively unknown, so that kind of has weird hints of Game of Thrones. Benioff and Weiss prior to Game of Thrones weren't hugely known. I think that it could be the thing that reinvokes those great medieval show for us to back. And Lord of the Rings already has a very just baked in fan base. So I could see this being the Amazon thing. Everyone has Prime anyway, but if you needed an excuse, I could really see the Lord of the Rings television show going the extra mile to get it done.
Huh.
So I really do think it's going to be a ginormous hit.
Really? Even though, I did a little bit of research about this for the video. that are making about 2021 stuff. I was under the impression that the Lord of the Rings show takes place before the movies. So it's based on new material. So it's not based on, like, you know, it is stuff they'll have to make up on their own.
Well,
I thought it was based on the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
Is
that's
it,
what I
though?
was going to say.
Or is it? I'm not so sure it is.
Well,
I think
at least in terms of
partially new.
Well, at least in terms of like locations and like lineages, and because it's still like young Aragorn.
Is it?
Is like I thought so.
I don't think so.
Like,
I think it's like
way
a full
mistaken.
100 years before any of those guys. So here's what I understand. I
well,
understand it's the
Aragorn
second
beat
age
battle.
of man.
Don't remember.
100
Aragorn-
years before Lord of the Rings, Bilbo is still alive, and I think Aragorn is too.
Well,
Yeah,
100
he's half
years
elf.
is, I don't know, what do you consider an age?
And
I don't
obviously
think they're
Legolas and Gimli and all them.
I don't think they're in it. I think it's
I
mostly new
agree that I don't
characters.
think it's about. I agree that I don't think it's about them. I'm just saying 100 years is actually most people in Lord of the Rings live a lot longer than that. So
Sure.
Cool, thanks.
That's fair. But yeah, I'm understanding that it is a new story.
Right, but it's not such a like. Even if it is, my point is that it's not like this show's going to start and they're like, "Oh boy, we gotta wait for all that extra material to make sure we're set." Like, I think it's going to be like a more reliable and consistent product. I don't want to exactly compare it to Lord of the Rings, but I think that idea of like a medieval set show with an already huge fan base.
You mean you don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones?
The Game of Thrones fandom was not nearly as big prior to those shows coming out.
Oh, sure.
Like, I don't know that people, like... I'm sure Diggins knew about the Game of Thrones books prior, but I sure as hell didn't.
not only did I know about them, I'd read them. Ha ha.
Yeah, so... I think Lord of the Rings is already just ginormous. So, yeah.
That's an interesting one. I hope that... I think the big stumbling block in that is whether it actually gets finished in 2021, because
That's fair.
most
I'll
of
look
what
like
I read
a damn
was a very,
fool.
like, it might come out, it might not.
Yeah, I might look real stupid.
We'll
so,
see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think when it comes out, it will be a big hit. Diggins, what about you? What do you think will be the big hit of 2021?
Dune.
Oh
Dune.
my
Dune.
God, this-
Dune. 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 Dune, baby. Ha ha. That's right, motherfuckers. It's Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You
Starring
think
all of our favorite weirdos, like Timothée Chalamet.
Speak for yourself. I mean, there's definitely weirdos I like in there, but Timmy Chalamet, one
Like
of them.
Zendaya, like
There we
Rebecca
go.
Ferguson, like Oscar Isaac, like Jason
we go.
Momoa.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Everyone's-
Any Bautistas involved?
Everyone's favorite weirdos. Oh, you know that there's going to be a Batista in there.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
You
about
know
Thanos?
he's got
Is
some
Thanos
Stellan
coming to the party?
Skarsgård. Oh, buddy, if you don't think that Josh Brolin is credited right next to Javier Bardem, then you've got another thing coming, because he is.
Man, scary boys from that one movie with the little air pump thingy. I forgot what that one was. What was that movie? Like fighting over stuff, money, big case of money. I don't know. Anyway, I think they're both in it. This is a big one, because I think Warner Brothers thinks they have something here, because like I said before, they're not sure if they're actually going to put that on HBO Max for free, or if they're just going to put it in like theaters and be like, pay to watch it, please. So that is something.
Please.
Listen.
Diggins,
Denis
do you think it's like
Villeneuve has proven in the past that he can make very cerebral and engaging sci-fi cerebral, engaging, and visually striking sci-fi movies that also end up being pretty popular with general audiences. I mean, Blade Runner and Arrival did pretty decently for, especially Arrival being a mid-budget sci-fi movie.
I loved Arrival. I love that movie.
I think Blade Runner may have not done super well by blockbuster standards, but regardless, it was fairly popular. And I have faith in him that he can blend the like weirdness of Dune as a property with enough popular sentiment and translate it into something that is both satisfying on a creative level, but then also makes it out into the mainstream in a way that people are going to be talking about. I think we might got a franchise on our hands here.
Whoa,
Warner Brothers certainly think so. Although, wait, so I don't know too much about the Dunes. There are at least one movie planned. They've made one movie. Is that based off of one book? Because I know there's multiple books in the series. How many, if they just filmed the books at the rate that they're going now, how many movies is that?
I'm not sure exactly how many books there are. Dune is the name of the first book.
Oh, okay. Is the next one Dune Eternal?
Haha!
Yes, very good, very good.
No. So the Dune is the name of the first book. It is also the name of the saga.
Okay.
Of the ones written by the original author, Frank Herbert, there are, 6.
Okay, that's a good number. They can make 15 movies out of that, probably. If I've seen Harry Potter's go as far as they can. That's many, many movies. Plus, if characters read books in the movie, then you can make movies of those books, as long as you have a title. You have
the baked-in Warner Brothers greed to help that as well.
15 years later, his son and some other guy started writing a bunch of other Dune books. So if you include them, there's 20 of these things. But
wow.
I'm only including the books by the original author.
Right. That makes sense.
Is there a humongous audience for Dune? Are the Dune stands just out in force, going crazy over Dune? Is that
No, I wouldn't say that there's a Star Wars level audience. I'm not gonna go crazy.
No, we should hope not. That's the audience. No, nobody wants that anymore. Could they be so?
But Dune is a very well regarded sci-fi classic novel. There is a pretty large I'd say a Star Trek sized audience for Dune.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, they made the movie back in the 90s. The David Lynch, right, made a Dune movie.
He sure did.
And I think Dune is one of those things. It's such a big book, and it's not. I don't know what makes a book dense, but it seems dense. To the point that I think a lot of people are like, have you ever read Dune? And then you go, no, but I heard good things. Because you don't want to seem like an idiot. So I think when Dune shows up, we all have to be like, wow, that was as good as it would have been had I read it. So I think it's got a little bit of fan goodwill based on being one of those things that almost like Inception. I don't completely get it, but sure. But also, it just has a lot of hunks in there, as Diggins was describing before. A lot of heartthrobs.
Well, let's not be superficial. We shouldn't be judging them based on how beautiful and sexy they are.
It doesn't hurt. I'm just saying it could appeal to audiences in a way that a lot of movies maybe could use some hunks.
Listen, all I'm saying is people are going to get one look at Timothée Chalamet's willowy frame, and the people in the audience who are attracted to men are going to get steamy under their collars.
If he's not fucking a peach, I'm not in. That's all I'll say.
Maybe.
Fuck that peach.
Now, listen, podcast listeners, you might be listening to this whole spiel and being like, Diggins is engaging in a lot of wishful thinking right now because he's just really excited about Dune. And maybe you're right, but it's our podcast and I can do what I want.
You're not wrong.
You can Dune what you want, Diggins.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
think there's definitely a possibility. I think that's the, God, what's it called? What's the phrase, blank or bust? I think this might be a big hit, or it might be a humongous bomb. Boom or bust, I guess.
Yeah, boom or bust.
We'll see. But yeah, it might be great. It has a weirdly big amount of stars behind it, and sometimes that's enough, regardless of the quality. But also the quality might be good. I think you're right, though. I think we've talked a lot about the hunks, but the Villeneuve, he's got something there. He's got a stellar record of also movies people are like, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about some of them, so that's always a good start. All right, I got one for you guys. I think that Invincible will be the big hit of 2021. So how familiar are you guys with Invincible?
None at all.
That's where Mark Wahlberg kicks footballs. A different one.
That's the thing where conventional weapons cannot harm you?
That is right. I think everyone being invincible, we are all going to be invincible in 2021 because we'll get the vaccine, right? No, it's a series of comics by Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead, and others. Like he's written a lot of stuff, and it is about so without giving the story away and like kind of going through all of the twists and turns. It's about a Superman type figure who, as a child, so it's kind of, I guess, if anything, closer to like Smallville, learns that he is, has superpowers and like what he's about to do with that. It's produced by Amazon. They have produced a trailer for it so far. It's animated, which is great. First of all, it has an insane cast, and the production seems very high and very true to the artistic style of Invincible. The books, but you got Stephen Yeun in the main role. Love him. J.K. Simmons plays Omni-Man, his father. I'm just gonna throw some actors at you. You got Sandra Oh, you got Seth Rogen, Mark Hamill, Zazie Beetz, Wally Goggs, Jason Mantzoukas, Mae Whitman, Chris Diamantopoulos, whoever that is, Zachary Quinto. The list goes on and on. It's hard to kind of like, and like others like that are in like what, because that's people that are in multiple episodes. You got guys like Mahershala showing up. You got Jimon Hansu, Ezra Miller, The Flash's own. I think this will be a big hit in the same way that I think it was not easy to see, but where you saw something like Umbrella Academy, having read the book, or Doom Patrol, or even The Boys, even though The Boys is like a bad book, but you're like, people are gonna like this. There's something here, and I don't want to tell the whole story because the book is interesting and it does a lot of kind of interesting things. But it's adult, like not like in a really overt way, but you can kind of tell from the trailers that like people use superpowers to punch people and blood comes out, as opposed to them like just flying around hitting bricks and then maybe spitting out a tooth. Like it seems like it's going to be pretty. It's not going to be incredibly sanitized, but I think Invincible. When you take away the fact that there's also movies. If you're just looking at some of the streaming stuff, I think this will be the big hit of 2021. I think there's movies like F9 or, Suicide Squad. They're probably going to perform pretty well. But I think this is going to really surprise everybody. And we'll be leaving 2021 the same way we left maybe, 2018 going like, wow, that's Stranger Things, huh? But yeah, Invincible is fun too. It's a very... It's got the right amount of kind of campiness and silliness to it that it's not like, just like Doom Patrol or Umbrella Academy where they're all just moping a lot. Not that that's all those are, but the vibe is different, so I think it'll stand out. But yeah, I'd recommend you guys watch the trailer. It's like a minute long, but just to get a sense for what it is. Plus, Amazon money. That's good money. You usually get a pretty high quality show. So that's that. We got 3 more. All right, guys, we did hits. Now let's look at some bombs. What'll be the big bomb of 2021, DJ?
I think this is very obvious, and I will not have to linger too much on it, but I'm pretty sure it's obviously the Snyder Cut is going to be the big bomb of 2021.
The cowards option.
Yeah.
But is it, though? Because I know, Nando, you already alluded to that, like, the Snyderverse will die in 2021, but I actually think this movie can be worse than what we're possibly imagining. Like, I could see this just being a horrible nightmare fuel that just makes Warner Brothers sit down and say, what the fuck have we done? Like, I think this can be that. And I don't think that's, like, a crazy statement by any means. I don't know, like, does it seem like that of, like, I mean, again, I'm saying it's going to be the worst thing of 2021. The biggest failure, the worst thing.
Yeah, it's possible.
So,
I mean, we don't know. I mean,
okay.
It's, we don't know what it is and how much it costs. We don't know how much they're going to spend on it. Also, I'm, like I said, not convinced it's coming out. The amount of work they're going to have to do to turn whatever the Snyder Cut is into something watchable, it seems like a lot of work. And it just seems like the kind of work that they'll start doing and go like, this isn't worth it. Let's not finish it.
At this point, not being watchable feels like the point.
That's true.
Like, this is what we're going for, guys.
I mean, I think they have an audience they can't please, so that's going to be tough. Like, I feel like...
What if they finally, like, see Religion and be like, oh my god, this is horrible?
What if it's the best movie ever made, you know?
I think they... great.
Yeah.
I'll literally
think
eat
they-
my hat on the podcast.
Can't wait.
I
Which
think
hat?
they know it's going to be bad, but they're dealing with an audience that is just primed to believe that their beloved leader can never actually be wrong. He can only ever be let down by outside forces. And so no matter how much they admit that the Snyder Cut is bad, they're not going to blame Snyder. It's going to be someone else who forced it to be bad instead of him. Now, I can't think of any parallels to this in modern society other than Zack Snyder, but it sounds like a really bad development to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it because there's a part of me that's like they'll see this and go, yes, this is what we all wanted, right? The Snyder Cut, we won. We need this to be a victory for us, and so it is. Or they'll be like, the Warner Brothers will do a test screening, and everyone, all the Snyder fans will be like, nope, try again. And then Warner Brothers will go, well, we can't release this because they're the only ones that want to see it, and they hate it. So I guess we have to keep going, and like it'll never get released. I don't know. I think Warner Brothers, if they're smart, should cut their losses and just put it out, whatever they get, and hope that it will, get enough fan goodwill. I mean, the fans will be like, it's great, and then everybody else will be like, nope, it's just like the other one except longer, and then that'll be the end of the conversation. But I don't know. They could also use it to string people along, though, because I think Warner Brothers probably knows that once the Snyder Cut comes out, there's a lot of people that'll cancel their subscription because that's what they were waiting for. So maybe they'll be like, oh no Snyder Cut today. Sorry, kids, come back next month.
The Snyder Cut's always coming out next month.
Yeah, that'd be wise. But I'm not in charge over at WB, so we'll see. Diggins, what about you? What do you think will be the big bomb of 2021?
Ooh. Well, guys, I have a lukewarm take and I have a nuclear take.
Oh, my God.
I'll take them both, one at a time.
Okay, my lukewarm take, that new Ghostbusters movie is going to be a huge bomb.
But the audience, it exists, they say.
Paul Rudd, though.
Those stranger Ghostbusters, it's for nobody. No one will see it. No one will like it. It's going to be a huge disaster.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some things about Ghostbusters 2016 that were like poor execution. I've seen it. I don't think it's all that funny for like a funny goofball comedy. But I also think there's just something where you can't catch that lightning in the bottle again. Like Ghostbusters, it can't be remade. I mean, they'll keep trying till long after we're all dead. But it might be one of the least remakeable franchises or rebootable ones, next to maybe Back to the Future, in terms of just it will never work. But I think that's a fair one. What's your nuclear take? I can't wait to hear this.
All right, the biggest bomb of 2021 is going to be the new Spider-Man movie.
You're insane.
Is that coming out this year?
It's slated for December 2021.
Ah,
Now they may push that back,
God.
but that is when it's supposed to come out.
So, I agree. That's a pretty nuclear take. I mean, I don't think a Marvel Spider-Man movie can be a, quote, bomb. It'll make $1 billion. It might not be any good.
I mean, might make a bunch of money, but it's going to be a bomb in terms of no one's going to think it's good.
Huh.
So
I don't know.
My reasoning.
Yeah, why
yeah,
is this?
I want to hear this.
So we got an announcement about vaguely what this movie is, right? Where they're doing the big multiverse thing, like Into the Spider-Verse, which is so hot right now. And the way they're doing it is they're bringing back all the Spider-Man you guys said you love. We're bringing back Tobey Maguire, and we're bringing back Andrew Garfield, and it's going to be Alfred Molina as the Dr. Octopus, and Jamie Foxx as Electro, and all the good guys you love. It's going to be great. And I don't think you could have possibly missed the reason for Into the Spider-Verse's success harder. The thing... Spider-Verse was so successful and was so beloved because it was a big, new, like, inventive thing that wasn't like all the stuff that had come before. It was visually, story-wise, it was a new take on Spider-Man that still got to the core of that character, but was very much its own thing that we had not seen on screen before. This could not be less that. This is explicitly, we're going to show you all the stuff you've seen before, but even more of it. And I just don't know who that's for. Like, I like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but I don't want to see Tobey Maguire at, like, how old is that guy by now? Like, in his 50s?
Yes.
I don't want to see him swinging around on screen.
Late 40s.
Let's see. Was it
Might be in his 40s.
He was in his 30s in 2000.
Tobey Maguire is 45. He's 45.
Yeah.
45. Okay, he's in his mid-40s. I don't want to see him swinging around on screen. I don't want to see Kirsten Dunst back on screen. That stuff happened, and it's over. And it's just... It is so everything I think is disappointing about what Marvel does, and so just, like, blatantly banking on nostalgia, that I just feel like it's going to backfire on them hard.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I don't think banking on nostalgia can backfire hard in like this zone. I think doing like the Ghostbusters, banking on nostalgia, we all know that's not going to work. But I think there's an audience for this in just that it's something that people will be like, oh yeah, I think I understand this. I saw that Spider-Verse movie. More of that, please. Even without, I agree that it's not the same kind of thing. Although, like, it's tough because the Spider-Verse as a concept, like, is a comics thing. And I think maybe, just maybe, and who the hell knows, but maybe you could adapt that more faithfully in this. And, like, kind of the story of the Spider-Man being hunted through different dimensions by vampires or whatever. Not vampires, but, like, Spider-Man eating vampires. And get enough of a different movie that it's kind of worth it. But also, I don't know. I feel like we don't know enough about what they're actually doing yet. It's tough.
Well, that's why this is a nuclear take, because I'm going off of little information, but the information we do have, I find extremely discouraging.
What about Doctor Strange being in it? You love him. He's your favorite.
Ugh.
What about Sam Raimi doing the Doctor Strange movie? You think maybe he'll have some hands in this? Because he's like... They're probably going to be almost companion movies since they come out right next to each other. And, you know, Doctor Strange with Spider-Man. I'm assuming they would have gotten Sam Raimi for this if they could have. But I think, you know, the fact that he's back and Spider-Man's back don't seem like coincidences. So, I don't know. But I think there's room after Far From Home to be like, yeah, I don't know about this Spider-Man movie because that movie was kind of a mess.
Yeah, just like how, what was the first one? Homecoming was kind of a mess.
Yeah, but Homecoming, I think, kind of... Yeah, I mean, sure. It's good, though.
What's-His-Face does a lot of work.
This is my hot take within the hot take. I don't think the Marvel Spider-Man movies are that good.
I mean...
This isn't new, though. You've been saying that forever.
I don't think any of the Spider-Man movies are that good. I think Spider-Man is the Star Wars of superheroes.
Nah, first two are gold.
Yep, Star Wars. And then they've just kind of been... stringing along, and every so often
you don't think Spider-Verse is good?
No, that's what I'm saying. Every so often they make one that people really like, and it's like now we're back, baby. And then
every once in a while they make a Last Jedi.
Yes, yeah,
sure, or a Mandalorian,
which is the best one.
And every so often there's something, and then it's like, oh well, actually maybe like it really does follow a similar pattern when you look at like the Raimi Spider-Man movies or the original trilogy. 1, 2, great. 3, fine to bad. You know, teddy bears and Venom is the kid from 70 Show. And then you do the prequels, and those are your Tobey Maguire ones, and those are CGI messes.
You mean Andrew Garfield.
Oh, sorry. Andrew Garfield, yeah. And then you've got your new ones, and they're kind of safe Disney thingies. And then there's the Spider-Verse in there, which is, depending on how people feel about it, Last Jedi or Mandalorian. And that's your like, no, this is really what it is, man, kind of moments. But I think Spider-Man, much like Star Wars, has a fan base that just it's the worst on Twitter.
Wow. Okay, good clarifier. Saved yourself. My goodness.
No, yeah. I mean, as someone that lives on film Twitter and stuff, it's tough, man. Whenever Spider-Man comes up, there's always some fucking thing. And it's the same with Star Wars. I don't think that exists with Iron Man or you know, the X-Men or Batman even. It's those two. But I don't know. How about this? I got an easy one. I got a nuclear one. Speaking of Star Wars, I think Morbius will be the big bomb of 2021. Like, that
yeah.
movie has no audience
Yeah.
and Jared Leto, and also who gives a shit.
Here's a clarification though for or a defense of my pick of Spider-Man is I feel like biggest bomb implies biggest gulf between expectation and performance. Which I don't think Morbius qualifies because expectation is rock bottom.
Oh, you don't think that's true of Ghostbusters as well?
That's fair.
I
me, I think
That's why that one was my lukewarm take.
Yeah, Morbius is my lukewarm take. My nuclear take is I think No Time to Die will be the big bomb of 2021.
You monster.
They tried to sell it to Apple.
Okay.
And it's following the bad one. Like, I just...
Yeah, but the Daniel Craig ones are always hot and then cold.
I don't know.
Every other year. Or every other
I think it's you flip a coin and they're good or bad, and we're flipping one last coin. And I don't know about hot and cold necessarily, but also I can see this one stinking. Can't you see it? Can't you see how? The writing's on the wall. Who gives a shit about Léa Seydoux' character, or whatever that actress's name is? Like, building a movie around James Bond and her relationship, who gives a shit? And Christoph Waltz is coming back as Blofeld, like, who cares? I feel like these movies work best.
I'm willing to give Christoph Waltz another chance because he was born to be a Bond villain.
Yeah, I mean, he was born to be a Bond villain, but I don't think he was born to be that Bond villain.
Yeah.
I feel like these movies work best, and Skyfall kind of seemed to understand this, and Casino Royale definitely understood this when they lean as far away from continuity as possible. And I don't think that's what this one's going to do. I think this
You think Skyfall, the movie where he goes to his childhood home, leaned as far away from continuity as possible?
I think it leaned far away from continuity in terms of you could watch that one by itself and get it. I don't think you could do that with Spectre, and I don't think you could do that with Quantum of Solace. I think there were plenty of people that watched Skyfall that had not seen Quantum of Solace that were still on board. In fact,
I'm among them.
Yeah, that brought a lot of fans back from the franchise. I think Casino Royale is the same way, but Casino Royale plays more like, an origin story, so of course that can kind of stand on its own 2 feet. But I think Spectre's biggest problem was that it tried to pretend that it was the Avengers Endgame of the James Bond-diverse of Daniel Craig's career. And I don't know. I mean, we have seen nothing from this movie in terms of like the advertising and stuff that's been like, no, you see, we learned our lesson, guys. We've learned from the mistakes of the last one. And also, I think them trying to sell it to Apple and Netflix and stuff worries me. I think if they knew they had a hit, they wouldn't have done that. But I don't know. I mean, I liked about half of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, and I like Casino Royale a lot. But and I like Rick, whatever his name is, Famuyiwa. That was what we decided his name was. The director. I think we talked about him a couple weeks ago. But I don't know. And I think as far as movies that expectations will be really high from, No Time to Die is one of those movies where it kept getting pushed back a week and 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 a week when the pandemic was kicking into high gear. And I think that, Black Widow, and F9 are the 3 movies that are when the pandemic ends, these 3 are coming out. These are your 3 big summer releases. And I don't think there's a world where F9 fails. I think it's going to make $1 billion. It can't be stopped. And I don't think there's a world where Black Widow fails that badly because it's like a Marvel movie. They're kind of safe. But I think there's a world where this one fails. I think a James Bond movie always has time to die, as it were. Also, can't you see the negative reviews? It's time to die for No Time to Die or something.
That will be the overworked Twitter joke.
Or no time to watch or something like that.
Yeah.
It's also 2 hours and 45 minutes long, so fuck it. I'm not watching this movie. No, it'll probably be fine. It's Carrie Fukunaga is the director. It's also written by a lot of people. I don't know. They got 4 screenplay credits on this movie, and that's not... Oh, no, that is counting Phoebe Waller-Bridge. That's a lot of writing credits. But it does have Anna de Armas, so that's fun. And Paddington. He's back, baby. All right, guys. What about this? Blank will surprise everything by actually being blank. What do you guys got for this?
So I actually I only have a nuclear take for this one.
That's all right. That's all you need.
All right.
Either you need a nuclear take or a nuclear take and a boring take, but no just boring takes.
All right, here's my nuclear take. Winds of Winter will surprise everyone by actually being released.
That is a nuclear take. I forgot that
No.
existed.
I'm going all in on
No,
this.
no way.
What's your thought
Impossible.
process behind it? I got to hear it because
I think that GRRM has had so much time in the pandemic. He hasn't been able to go through to like conventions and stuff like that. And there's been like little hints and little sprinklings on his not a blog thing that he's chewing away. And I think he just wants to get his fucking monkey off his back. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to release this shit. So every time I walk down the street, everyone's like, hey, George, where's Winds of Winter? So he's just going to fucking release whatever he has. It's going to be 5,000 pages. He's releasing it in 21. I am going all in on this. Roger, take that down, and you can all laugh at me this time next year.
I mean, it has to come out eventually, right? Kind of.
I think this is the year. I think 21 is the year.
If he dies, do you think they release it?
Ugh, I don't know how that shit works, man.
Great. I wonder if it would.
But I think we're getting it. I think 21 is the year. And I know it sounds crazy, but wouldn't that be a surprise? Wouldn't that be a fucking surprise?
That would be insane. Man, imagine if that came out this year, or in 2020. That would have been so big. Everybody would have read it.
I know. Everyone was inside. But, like, people are still going to be inside for Bits of 21,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
There's time.
It's true.
There's definitely
Do it, George.
room for it.
Do you guys think I'm crazy? You think this is just, like, an insane take?
I hadn't thought of it before, but maybe. It's like I said, I think it has to eventually. Why not?
A part of me believes that he is still working on that book. Like, it's not like the third King Killer Chronicles book where I'm like, he's not working on that. Grow up.
Isn't
Like,
he, though?
Patrick Rothfuss is not working on the third book. You cannot convince me that he is.
Oh, I
Weren't
thought
they
he was,
making
my
those
bad.
movies? What happened to those?
Yeah, there's just
Oh,
like
I
a
mean,
series.
if you ask him, he'll say he's working on it. If that's what you mean, DJ. I'm saying I don't believe that he really is.
I see. Yeah, I thought
But I
Lin-Manuel was tied to doing
He was,
something anyway.
right?
Yeah, he
Do you think maybe he was like, oh, right, I'm only one person and not 8 people. I have to pick a project to focus on, and it's not going to be that one. I think that might have been it.
So sorry, Diggins, I interrupted. You were saying?
But I believe that George R. R. Martin is writing those books, or at least trying to.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean he'll ever be done with them, but I believe that he's trying.
That's wild. I mean, it's not that wild, but it feels like a wild claim.
I told you nuclear. I told you
love
guys
it.
nuclear.
No, I love it. And this is one that will be easily quantified.
Yeah, we could like go
There's
back.
a very
and
binary state on
fact check
this.
We're gonna know.
All right. All right.
What about you?
I really staking my flag.
What about you, Diggins? What do you got?
I think theaters will surprise everyone by actually being back. I think
That
I
Okay.
think this streaming revolution that everyone talks about is going to be way less durable than is assumed.
When do you think
I
they'll
think-
come back? And
No,
how?
I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while. Obviously, we need to get through the pandemic. I'm not suggesting that they could or should be a major thing again before this pandemic is under control. But once in the later parts of 2021, maybe the fall or so, when things are hopefully in a state where, walking about large gatherings and such are safe again. I think once the big releases start happening and people feel comfortable going to theaters, I think we're going to get a huge surge in people going to theaters. That's going to result in the movies that do come out making a lot of money, which is then going to make the studios not want to do simultaneous or fast streaming releases anymore, which ends up with us back at the status quo by pretty early into 2022.
I mean, I'm kind of with you there. I think Warner Brothers is going to try to walk back that streaming thing is as quickly as they possibly can, and they kind of are with Dune, maybe already. But I don't know. What do you think, DJ? When do you think? Like, let's say you get the vaccine in. I don't know. What is it going to take for you to go back to a movie theater? Is it just you having a vaccine? Is it going to be like some sort of like Fauci coming on TV and being like, "All right, everybody, go"? What's the moment?
So there's a couple things. So I think one part is like the obvious, like I have a vaccine and medical experts are like, cool. So let's say all that exists, right? So let's say I'm, quote, cleared to go to the theaters. I got to be really honest with you, too. If I have the option to watch it at home, I'm watching it at home. Like, I can't imagine a reason I'm going to want to go back unless, the movie is like, we're only being in the theater and it's a movie I really want to see, and then I'll be like, fine, I'll fucking go. But it's going to be with an amount of reluctance. There is no part of me, I know we've talked to death on the podcast, but no part of me is excited to go back to the theater. And like, again, it's not even COVID related at this point. It's like, I've been just given too much by being able to watch it at home. It's too good of an experience. Underrated thing, right? Like, I don't talk like in movie theaters. Like, this was a thing like Michelle and I started dating, where I was like, I don't want to talk in like movie theaters, like even like a whisper in the ear. Like, I really don't want to. But like, we could talk in the living room during the movie theater, and I found out, oh my god, I actually like to talk during movies. I just don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
That does not make me a monster. Come on.
He's
absolutely
it does. He is a hero, a king among men. He would talk, but chooses to not.
Thank you.
No, it's good that he doesn't talk in a theater, but that you would talk during a movie at all makes you a monster.
It depends
what
on
is
the
wrong
movie.
with you? Are you crazy?
I mean, yes, it depends on the movie.
Sometimes I don't. I've had we've watched some movies recently that I have been very glad I don't feel shame talking and being like, wait, what did that guy just do? And like, what am I supposed to know who that is? Those are good things to say when you're watching Artemis Fowl, for example.
And it's just like this thing where I honestly, I used to say, oh man, I love going to the movie theater and watching movies and getting my popcorn, blah, blah, blah. Turns out I just liked movies.
And popcorn. I think the movie theater popcorn is something
popcorn.
special. I'm going to miss it.
And,
you know what? You know what might be misleading the two of you in this?
What?
Is that you still have people to watch the movie with. But there are many people like me who do not.
Okay.
What if there was like a movie buddy system where someone came over to your house? Didn't have to be a friend or anything, just someone who fit a profile with you and you guys watched a movie together.
Why don't I just go to the theater at that point, Nando?
Well, but hold on. If we can go to theaters, we can also go watch movies with other people at our houses, right? Like you could,
sure.
If any of us live near each other,
my point is, I think there's a lot of people on the internet like you two who like watching movies at home and assume that everyone feels that way, and you're going to be surprised how many people would prefer to go to a theater once it's an option again.
I will be surprised. I'm going to be surprised either way.
Yeah, I will also be surprised.
Because I think it could go either way. But
and I think you're overrating like the movie buddy thing. And because again, like I rarely went to like movies like by myself. Like I saw Doolittle by myself because I wasn't going to make Michelle go see that fucking shit. But
I see many movies by myself.
Okay, listen. All I'm trying to say is like the theater is more restricting than freeing. Just period. Like and again, it's because they have not curtailed the experience to make it friendly to me. They've made everything for me harder.
But I feel like you're missing that's what makes it an experience. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, you can sit at home and watch any movie you want, but are you going to? Going to a theater makes it like a thing that you are doing that, solidifies it in your mind. It makes you feel more like you did something than just, well, I sat at home and I watched a movie.
Diggins, you sound like part of the bourgeoisie right now. I think you do. The movie bourgeoisie.
I'm saying that I am part of the movie working class, that the people love theaters, and that they're going to make a big comeback once they're able to be open again.
You know what?
I'm with...
I want to... No, go ahead, Nando.
I was going to say, I'm with both of you. So I'm not wrong in any way. But here's what I'm going to say. Here's the points I'll give Diggins.
Even though you're wrong in every way.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
That's the other option.
Even though I agree with DJ about most of the theater audience stuff, I'm with Diggins that I just want to go to movies like right now a lot. If they were available, if I could see Black Widow in a theater... If I could see, let's think of something I cared less about. If right now I could only go see that stupid Ghostbusters movie in a theater, I'd jump at the opportunity just because I do miss theaters as an experience. But I'm kind of with Diggins, with DJ, and I think Diggins, the way, like, when I watch a movie, especially recently, and especially like something like Wonder Woman or Soul, the thing about it that helps that I look at the most is that it's not an event. That I'm just like, oh, hey, there's a new one of those. You want to watch it? Yeah, let's watch it. Like, you don't have to commit. You just get to watch it, and you get to go like, I don't feel bad for deciding to watch that since it was free or whatever. So maybe it depends on how much you pay for whatever service and what the movie's like, kind of how they price it. But the idea that like that movies become more accessible does feel like a good thing, and something I'm like used to and enjoying now. But also, I mean, Netflix has been making that easier, for the last couple of years. So I don't think that's a hugely new development.
This would probably disgust Diggins. What was the black and white Oscar movie that got nominated for an Oscar that took place in Mexico?
Roma.
I watched all of Roma on a train on my phone.
That's fine.
That's how I absorbed that movie. Oh, I thought you'd be like, that's not how you're supposed to watch a movie.
Look, people can watch a movie any way they want. I prefer theaters, and I'm saying I think a lot more people than is commonly assumed also have that preference. I'm not saying you can't watch a movie any other way.
I want to respond to one of Nando's points. I think, Nando, there is a just general need to go out to do things, and like it's just like the idea of being in a movie theater surrounded by people like is sexy. Like I think football
DJ.
Game.
Now
It's
we
like
know
the
what
Mary
DJ's
Elizabeth
doing in
Winstead
movie
movie.
theaters.
This could just be a movie. Yeah. I mean, Mary Elizabeth
my
Winstead
God.
was in Birds of Prey, one of the last movies I saw in theaters. So maybe DJ thinks that's affecting my wanting to go back. But no, I just want to go back for all kinds of movies.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So I think that watching football is a better experience from home. Like, I think everything about a football game is just way better if you do it at home. I want to go to a football game just to be like, I want to go to a football game, even though I don't typically enjoy like going to football games. But I just want to do it because it's a thing to do with my friends that I know will be fun. And like, it would just be better to watch it at home. But no, I want to go to a stadium, freeze my ass off, and watch the Dolphins play the Jets in MetLife Stadium. That's like a thing I want, even though like I would never normally say that under normal circumstances. But everything's just all like fucked up because of the COVID. I want to find a way to like objectively find out whether Diggins is right on this one, but I don't know how to do it. Like box office numbers.
I mean, whether movies
like,
come, I think we'll know in December of next year or this year whether they did or didn't come back.
If early streaming releases or simultaneous streaming releases, all that stuff, if all that stuff stops by, because I feel like that it's going to be a lot of bleed. I feel like I should get some leeway into early 2022 by this. But
sure,
by early 2022, that stuff's going to stop.
But like
because
we'll know
movie theaters will be
know
back.
the trend.
Yeah.
We'll know the trend. So okay,
all right. Well, we'll see. How about this? Mine's a little more specific, but maybe that makes it better. Who knows? Here's what I got. I think Venom 2 will surprise everyone by actually being good. I think that movie's going to be good.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think so. I know. And we haven't talked about it yet. So, we'll see. And I was going to say, like, I was going to pick another movie that I just think will be good. But I don't think, I think there's some movies that probably will be good. Like, I think the Kingsman movie will probably be good. I think Eternal, Suicide Squad. But I just feel like this Venom movie, man, they got Andy Serkis directing, who, if nothing else, has an imagination when it comes to CGI and stuff like that. So it probably won't just be two big black blobs jumping around at each other. You got Woody Harrelson in a bizarre wig being Cletus Cassidy, a.k.a. Carnage, from that one scene where he says, "There will be me, Carnage." And you got Tom Hardy coming back in a star-making performance, if he wasn't already, as Eddie Brock, the man who eats a lobster. So I think there's something about the first Venom movie that was so bad yet memorable that I think this one has a shot to, I think this one has enough goodwill, but low expectations, that it could surprise us and actually be a good movie. I don't think it'll be I think it'll probably be going for, just because of the way they probably will portray Carnage, it'll probably end up being like a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing. But even if it's not that, I still think it could be pretty good.
I think the strongest argument for that is Tom Hardy could carry this vehicle, and because you don't have to establish Venom, we'll have an established Venom.
Yeah.
I think that can help and I could see it being good.
Because
there are instances where it's like first movie bad, second movie somehow turns it around.
I think they have to.
And I could see this being that.
I think they have to commit early on, like early in the process, to being like, okay, we think we know what works about this character. He's kind of wacky, not like in a Deadpool way necessarily, but in like a not your daddy's Spider-Man kind of way. But so we're keeping that, and we're keeping Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams and stuff. And who else? Who was the other guy? The guy from the Veep. We'll keep him. But everybody else is kind of new, and we're going to create new characters. But we're going to really go in a different direction visually in terms of what Venom is going to look like and what the action sequences are going to feel like. And tonally, in terms of like figuring out what this movie is. Because I think the biggest problem with the first one was like, was it a Jim Carrey movie? Was it about corporate espionage? Was it about, was it just a plain old superhero movie with a rocket ship? And they couldn't figure it out. But I think I think like they could take easily what worked about it, which is mostly the characterization of Venom, and build on that. And I don't know. I think this one could work. And I think I think we're gonna miss like I think Venom is as close to like Fast and Furious as superhero movies have gotten. Like it's just a dumb spectacle made for people who want to see Venom kill people and stuff. So I don't know. I think if they lean into that, they can make it cool. But we will see. All right, guys. Last one. 2021 will be the year of blank. DJ, what do you think 2021 will be the year of?
All right, so I think, Nando, you stole a little bit of my thunder with this, but I'm going to go super emphatic on it. I think 2021 will be the year of Disney. I think Disney's rocket is going to, like, they already own, like, everything, but I think they're going to supernova just be brighter than the sun in 2021.
Agreed.
So all of the things you said with the streaming and the movies, got all that. In addition, Disneyland is opening the Avengers campus.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that can be understated. There's going to be so much Star Wars stuff that's just going to be flooding our brains.
Will there, though? What's coming out besides Boba Fett?
Well, in Season 3 Mando.
Is that coming out this year? Or, like, 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't
It's
sure
late
about that.
2021, but 2021. Like, it's going to have a later start. It might be 2021 into 2022, but I believe that Season 3 is going to be...
I guess that makes sense, because if Boba Fett is... I think I heard somewhere between 6 and 8 episodes, you could go Boba Fett and then Mando and still have Mando start in 2021 without overlap.
But, like, even so, it might be on the edge. But, all right, so maybe not super flooded with Star Wars. No, they are.
You got the books. I actually downloaded the first one today. Now that I think about it, the new High Republic thing. So that's something.
You got the books. You have, I believe they're doing that like Star Wars hotel thing in 21.
Oh my god, the hotel!
That might get pushed.
That's so funny.
With like the cruise thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think between like parks and movies and like interactive media, I just think that Disney's gonna go insane. And next year is gonna be the year I think where if you want a nuclear take, I think next year Disney Plus overtakes Netflix in terms of numbers.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh wow, okay, so I guess not.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see the numbers, but
I think there's gonna be so much content. It's gonna be so attractive, and I just think you're gonna have like there's always gonna be something to watch, and like they're really gonna ratchet up the exclusive content. So I think we're here, baby.
All right.
Yeah,
baby. I'm excited.
Yeah.
What are you looking
I'm
forward to the most?
I'm excited for the coming entertainment monopoly.
Yeah. I don't know. There's good stuff there. I think Disney, for all of its problems as an entertainment monopoly, and there's so many, but especially Marvel in the future, like the next year of Marvel, which is what I know the most about. It does seem like they're taking chances with stories that are unusual, and they're giving opportunities to actors, like stars and directors and creatives of, like, it's not just a bunch of old white guys and identical, directors and stuff. There's going to be, it seems like, at least with Marvel, and probably with Star Wars to some extent, they have taken steps to make the movies different enough from each other that they won't just feel like, homogenous stuff. Is it good that it's all coming from one company, all the movies? Yeah, probably not, but that's what it is. So it could be worse, I guess, is all I'm saying.
I mean, you got things like Raya and the Last Dragon, like that might be like very, very interesting.
I'll put money. I think Eternals is going to be a huge hit.
Eternals.
Chloe Zhao Marvel movie, like fucking Angelina Jolie, Selma Hayek. That's crazy. We don't talk about it. We talk about Camille Nanjiani and his strange body, and that's it. We don't talk about Richard Madden. We don't talk about Jon Snow.
I want Eternals to be good. I do. I just don't know how much I have faith in Marvel to really give Chloe Zhao the space to make the weird movie I want her to make.
I mean, she's one of two writers, but I think she's the writer, and the other one is the person that, like, I think she's the story person, and the other person is the person that just, like, writes, you know, like, seems like there's just people that are like, all right, I'll help you make that into a screenplay. So it feels like she will have a lot of credit, and I don't think Angelina Jolie, I don't know why she seems like such a get, but I don't think she would do this if it was, you know, not to disparage Ant-Man, but if they showed her the script to Ant-Man 1 and she was like, oh, okay. Like, I think this is something. I don't know. Do you think Camille Nanjiani will work out like he did? Take all those steroids? Just kidding. Were it not for a wonderful movie? I don't know. When does Nomadland come out? When can we actually watch that movie? So I want to watch that.
Well, technically, it has already come out, but...
Oh, really?
It will be in wide release, I think in February.
Oh, okay. But I can't, like, download it today, right?
You can't stream it today, no.
Oh, okay. So
now, if you were a criminal...
Oh.
It's possible you could find it.
No.
But nobody here is a criminal.
No, nobody is opening any windows right now to do criminality. I'm not, so I don't even have to apologize for not doing it.
I just one last thing. If you want to talk about just like broad stuff that Disney's doing in the realms that they don't even normally do, they have that Peter Jackson Beatles documentary.
Yo, that looks so good. Did you watch the footage of it?
Yeah, they have like 5 or 50 out, like I forget the exact number, but it's like
it's a ton.
It's an insane amount of. They have the entire Apple Records rooftop concert, and that's like a Disney production.
Yeah,
like that could be the biggest thing next year, and it would be Disney, and that's like the shit that like my mom cares about.
And I couldn't give less of a shit about the Beatles, and I think that looks cool. So
yeah, it's Peter Jackson. Like
he made that war movie that was really good. The whatever it is, No Die,
Lord of the Rings.
No.
Kong, Skull Island.
No, he didn't even. He made the other one with what's this? With Jack Black.
They shall not grow
really
old.
Good. Yeah, that one. That one is good. So, yeah, They Shall Not Grow Old. It's like, but it's the same kind of thing, I guess, where it's like we're taking old footage and converting it into something new.
But he's good at that.
Yeah, he's great at it.
That's great.
So I think there's
and that's a Disney thing. So anyway, I think like next year is just going to be Disney like on fire in a good way. So. Yeah, and I get it. It's scary, whatever. But, like, if Disney came in and offered me the life contract, I'd be like, all right, I'll sign it.
Oh.
You could have my life, but I get to have all the things,
and they get to turn you into a human horse or whatever, right? Is that what that movie is?
I love that movie.
They got a movie called Luca coming out that looks kind of cool. They got a lot of stuff coming out this year that hasn't really, like, hasn't hit the mainstream, but just we haven't really had time to
It's not in the consciousness.
Talk about
it's going to come out, and people are like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's... And that's cool.
And like, and there's and then they also own movies like the Kingsman movie, so like that'll be
right.
Fun
It's
too.
20th century, yeah. So cool.
All right, Diggins, what about you? What's 2021 going to be the year of?
You know what, guys? I think 2020 is going to be the year of mostly nitpicking.
Oh
yeah, we're gonna do it.
Cheeky bastard.
It's gonna be our year.
Hell yeah!
Cheeky
What's your
bastard.
knowledge? What do you have that makes you think that? what possible projections?
No.
I mean, it will.
We're gonna
but...
continue being as mediocre as we always are.
Yeah, but the episodes
That's
will get
true.
longer, so that'll make it different. That'll be.
Oh
fun.
yeah, we're gonna break the 4-hour barrier this year.
I think
feel
we
it.
did. Did we not with Wonder Woman, or did we break the 3-hour barrier?
No, we were so close. We were so
We've
close
yet to break 4 hours.
Hashtag release the 4-hour cut.
I mean,
You mean the
keep it
cut
on
with
silent,
long
but-
stretches of silence because we go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, but what is it, Diggins? What do you got?
Oh gosh.
Did DJ fake yours
well-
by saying Disney? You're just gonna go both sides on Disney?
Yeah, go say one of
No.
yours.
I'm definitely gonna say a new thing that's not Disney.
Okay.
And that thing is going to be that I think it is going to be the year of doing things outdoors.
Oh,
I think
hope so.
in addition
Yeah, it's going to be a big year.
I think we're going to see an explosion of outdoor things the second we can do it again. The second there's no more quarantine, no more lockdown, we're all going to go buck wild, being outside, out and about, seeing other people, open mouth kissing strangers on the street.
Yes.
Just, it's all the things you wanted to do and haven't been able to do. It's going to be a smorgasbord.
Oh, my God. That is so terrific. And you know what? Maybe. What activities
Listen,
are you looking forward to most, Diggins?
I've given you all a lot of hot takes already. And we've been recording for 3.5 hours. And maybe I don't have another one in me.
Oh, my gosh.
You're good, man. You can only give so many nuclear takes, or else they don't mean as much.
Yeah, that's true. But you did give... That's a good take.
I agree.
That's my hopeful take for all of you.
The year of outside.
The thing I'm looking most forward to, Nando, is going to movies. But actually, I will say, this experience has made me want to, once I'm able to again, see more of New York City, the place I live. Go out and do things. Go out and see cool museums. Go to weird parties at bars. Or weird themed parties at bars. Take in more, that's the whole reason I live in a city, is because I want to be able to go to cultural events. And so as soon as I'm capable of it, I'm going to take more advantage of that. I'm going to keep an eye out what's going on around me, and I'm going to try and go out and do it.
You go one of those silent raves where you go and you put headphones on and listen to music and dance, but there's no music overall,
and everybody
you can,
just
listen to
farts
your own music
the whole time.
Honestly, that's really smart.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Good
but that's,
farting opportunity. I mean, I don't go out to dance a lot, but I'm just imagining. I know when you're more active, stuff starts moving around down there. There's probably some fart opportunities, and you probably wait for a moment in the music where you think you can get away with it. But if the music is in everyone's ears, you don't need to. I think that's a terrific idea.
It is a dangerous game though, because you don't know if there's a little lull in someone's listening track, and then they just hear you rip one, and then it's over.
No, but you're only you're listening to the same thing as everybody else, right?
No, that's the fun part. You can listen to different things.
And what are you dancing with them for? What are you everybody doing a different dance?
I mean, I think that's part of it.
Charleston and Crunkin or whatever. That's cool, I guess.
There might be some color indicators, so all the red people, I find all the red people, and there's the blue people over there.
Oh,
so
segregation.
Maybe...
You know what?
I've
I've never done one of those. You know what? I'd try it. Why not?
Yeah, no, fuck it.
What if we all go together?
This is what I'm talking about.
We all pick different colors.
It's going to be the year of new experiences.
I like that.
I like it too. I'm with you, Diggins, because I also moved closer to a big city in the beginning of the year. It's I'm going to crush this. I did feel like the characters in Entourage do at the end of every episode, where they look out and go, "We own this city," and then the city went away. It just shut down forever. So I'm excited for the actual part of Entourage where they go out and party and stuff, jump off rooftops. I don't know. I haven't seen that show in a very long time. They mostly yell at each other. All right, guys, I got the real one though. You guys were all close.
Oh,
DJ, you almost got there. Guys, 2021, it's going to be the year of martial arts. I'm happy to say it. We're back, baby. All right.
I don't understand.
So we started the year January 1st. You guys remember what came out on Netflix?
Was it Cobra Kai?
Season 3 of Cobra Kai. Already off to a great start. DJ, you mentioned Raya and the Last Dragon. That movie does come out this year, and I've only seen about 10 seconds of it, but that trailer had lots of martial artsy stuff with
you're not wrong.
Fighting with swords or whatever. I don't know. We got a Mortal Kombat movie coming out this year, directed by the person, or not directed, directed by who knows who, but written by, do you guys remember that short from 10 years ago with Black Dynamite, where he plays Jax? I don't know how familiar you guys are with Mortal Kombat, but he's
I know Jax.
Oh, yes,
a police station, and he's like, why didn't you? And it's a really dark and gritty. So the person that wrote that is writing a Mortal Kombat movie that's part of the movies that Warner Brothers is going to release at the same time as whatever. And I think that one's supposed to come out in April. We don't know too much about it, but that is coming out. And I didn't even mention Black Widow because martial arts, but it's just mostly that same kind of Marvel-y fighting. And then every so often Scarlett Johansson crushes a guy's head in her legs and then flips them over her shoulder or whatever. But then you got the other Marvel stuff, Shang-Chi, excuse me. It's one of those words that you read and then someone says it out loud 10 years later and your brain still can't figure it out. But Shang-Chi, there was the actor, I think his name is Simu Liu, from Kim's Convenience, who's playing the titular Shang-Chi, put out like a little, I don't even know what you would call it, like a Instagram-y kind of martial arts demo reel thing that him and his friends seem to make, but just like kind of showing off that he's good at this, and he's good at this. And I think Iron Fist really soured us all on like what a Marvel martial arts thingy can be. And Iron Fist is the master of he's like the master of the Iron Fist, and he's very good at martial arts. But Shang-Chi is the Marvel martial arts guy. So they screwed up Iron Fist by not making him actually good at this, but they got another shot to not screw up the actual one that matters. And I think this movie could be very cool if they really lean into that. That comes out this year at some point, probably. We also have Eternals, which seems like it is going to be martial arts heavy, only because, and I remember reading about this, I tried to find the article. Yeah, okay, I found it again. Apparently, Angelina Jolie went to her kids' martial art classes to prep for her role in Eternals. I don't know how much martial arts is going to be there in like her character, Athena, who can like summon weapons or whatever. But there'll probably be some. I know the dude, what is his name? The guy from Ma Dong-suk or whatever from Train to Busan. He's good at that, so that'll be cool. But then, yeah, at the end of the year, we haven't talked about this. I'm very glad because I want to, this is the end of the year. We're getting a Matrix sequel, guys. The Wachowski is back. Only one of them, apparently. I don't know if one just doesn't do stuff anymore, but I believe Lana Wachowski is making a fourth Matrix movie. It's part of the Warner Brothers stuff that comes out on TV and movies, and I think that could be like it just could be a banger. Keanu's back, everyone's favorite guy from that game that doesn't
Johnny
work.
Silverhand.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And also you got all kinds of guys. Jonathan Groff, Carrie-Anne Moss is back, Jessica Henwick, Neil Patrick Harris, Yaha Abdul-Mateen 2. You got it all. What more could you want?
Hugo Weaving is what I could want.
Yeah, he doesn't do movies. He hates fun.
I know.
But no, I'm sure he might be in it because he does. Even though he doesn't love doing sequels and he hates the Marvel stuff, he does seem to have he seems to be down for Wachowski stuff. Because he was in Cloud Atlas as like Nurse Ratched type. But I mean, it would be weird if they brought back Agent Smith. But there's a lot of I don't know. I just think there's some cool. This could be and Priyanka Chopra. That's the other one. This movie could be very cool, and it could have some Speed Racer energy. And if it managed to capture even some of the magic of Speed Racer, this could be the movie of the year.
It truly is the bar that Nando holds every movie to. Is Speed Racer.
It's a great movie. And listen, like Matrix 1 is very good, and then Matrix 2 and 3 aren't that good. But they made Speed Racer after Matrix 2 and 3. So, I find it a little bit easier to judge them based off of the greatest movie ever made and not a couple of failures that they made before that. So, and Jupiter Ascending is weird. And Cloud Atlas, I kind of like Cloud Atlas. It's a little wrong-headed at some times, but I think it's kind of fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, I'm so down for a fourth Matrix movie. I just hope that it doesn't get bogged down in its own stupid mythology like the sequels did and just kind of starts fresh and just gives us opportunities for these guys to fight each other. And yeah, and I think 2021 will be the year of martial arts. And I'm down for it.
I think there's one huge glaring hole in your thesis that you haven't considered.
Oh God. What is it?
Which is that 2019 or 2020 rather, is the year that Jiu-Jitsu came out.
Yeah, well maybe they'll put out a direct-to-DVD, even more direct-to-DVD sequel. Maybe we'll get Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would be smart. I mean, most of the characters in it are dead, except for what's his name? Except for the guy, the one guy. Was it Tony Jaa who showed up at the end? It was like, I'm still kicking.
Hey guys,
this makes
I'm
money.
alive.
I might be back. But,
hey,
yeah.
I know that nobody else's face is on screen while I am, but I totally was planning to live through this from the start.
Yeah. I hope that happens. Yeah, I don't know, but Yeah, lots of good stuff. So everybody write down all of those things we said, including all the weird caveats we gave midway through, and you tell us which we did right and which we did wrong at the end of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Oh, my goodness. It feels like I've lived through a whole year, although that's what every day this week has felt like. So
that's what every hour this year has felt like.
Yeah. What do you guys think? You guys want to do some classic segments? You want to recommend some things to the fine people?
I would love to.
Let's do it. What do you got, DJ?
All right. So first, I got a couple things. The first thing I'd like to recommend is The History of Swear Words on Netflix.
Oh.
It is beautiful. It stars hosted by Nicolas Cage, I should say.
Jiu-Jitsu Zone.
Jiu-Jitsu Zone, and it's like a limited series thing. They take 6 swear words, and it's actually cool. They actually go into the history of them and like the use of them throughout
I think
time.
you said it was called The History of Swear Words, right?
I know, right? And it's cool. They have like different comedians, so they have a good blend of like comedians and like historians and psychologists talk about the words. So like Jim Jeffries is one of the guys. He was like the only comedian I recognized.
Does he say a word that starts with C a lot?
So that's not one of the words. So no, it's not one of the 6.
I don't
remember all
for
of
the
them,
sequel,
but
yeah,
exactly. Nikki Glaser was the other one.
Oh, I love Nikki Glaser.
I recognized.
She's so funny.
Yeah, and it's just very fun. Nicolas Cage opens the series. I fucking love him. He goes, the greatest tool in an actor's arsenal is his imagination, but the second greatest is language. And I'm like, man, that definitely wasn't in a script, but he knew he had to say that the greatest tool is imagination. The second greatest is language. I love him so much.
I do too. I wish he would do more documentaries. I feel like we could use him in documentaries about like snails and whatever. That'd probably be fun.
I would watch anything with him in
What's
it.
the
like,
greatest tool in the snail's arsenal? Slime? Shell?
Isn't 2021 the year that the unbearable weight of massive talent comes out?
Oh, and isn't it the year that his Five Nights at Freddy's movie comes out too?
Which one is that?
I don't know. He's making a movie that's like Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like about a guy who has to do maintenance, and then the robots at the Chuck E. Cheese come get him. I don't know what the Five Nights at Freddy's is, but I think it's kind of that. And I know this movie is not that, but it's a lot like it. But yes, I think it's also the year that the one you're talking about comes out, where he plays himself.
March 19th, 2021, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Heck yes. I am so excited for this.
Yeah, and then I don't know if they have like a year for it, but it's called Wally's Wonderland, and he plays a quiet drifter is tricked into a janitorial job at the now condemned Wally's Wonderland. The mundane tasks suddenly become a fight for survival against wave after wave of demonic animatronics. Fists fly, kicks land,
so cool.
Titans clash, and only one will make it out alive.
I love that.
Yeah, so
I love
that's coming probably this year. I know. I saw a teeny tiny trailer for it, but I'm sure they're still figuring out when to release it.
So that's one thing I'd like to recommend. The other thing is I watched. This was like recommended to me from a friend because he said it was really good, and I enjoyed myself. It's the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. It came out last year. But
so much better than it has any right to be.
I know, right?
Oh, I know.
It was recommended to me by a coworker, and I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
Broly's the one who's the Hulk, right? Kind of.
Yeah,
basically.
I saw.
I can't believe
him in the Hulk.
I watched that movie in theaters actually when it first came out, and I can't believe that movie made me care about Broly.
I know. Well, do you remember Broly's original backstory, like in the 90s?
Oh, it's so bad. It's so stupid.
It was
like
he
Frieza,
was just a baby.
It's a different thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
He was just a baby who slept next to Goku, and Goku cried a lot as a baby.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. And that made him upset.
Broly was like a guy. He was a baby. At the same time, Goku was a baby. And his data readings on their devices indicated that he would be the most powerful Saiyan ever. So King Vegeta had Broly and his dad jettisoned into space because he didn't want Broly to be the most powerful Saiyan ever. And that was their origin story. But the reason Broly hates Goku and fights Goku in that movie is because Goku cried a lot in their shared crib space, and it made Broly annoyed.
Isn't that also the driving plot device that we learn about in Crimes of Grindelwald? The babies cried, so then I switched them, and it was the Titanic, so the one you didn't think died. Man, babies shouldn't cry in bad stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, like, this movie's, like, legit good. And, Diggins, you watched Dragon Ball Super, right?
Yep, all of it.
So I haven't, and I really should. Because I watched the Frieza movie. I actually watched that one in theaters, and I did not think that one was as good as the Broly one. The Broly one is much better.
Not.
But when it was like, Frieza's back, I'm like, what? So I did a bunch of like reading and stuff. But I think the movie does like a relatively good job. Like, I already know about Beerus and like all that shit. But it does a relatively good job of like walking you through what's going on, and so focused on Broly anyway that it's like, all right, this works. But it does make you care about Broly, and it's like weirdly compelling. So yeah, it's on Stars. So what you do is, if you have an Amazon Video account, just sign up for the Stars 7-day trial and then cancel. Because I don't think there's anything else worth watching on Stars. That's what I did.
Wait, is that the one that the Good Lord Bird is on, or is that a different one? I can never remember.
It's
Stars and
Showtime.
Showtime really blur together.
Yeah.
Good Lord Bird's on Showtime, and you should watch that. That's a good show.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
So, yeah, and then, like, one last, like, tiny rec, and it goes against the cardinal, like, sin of Rex, but it's another podcast. But
I can't believe you've done this.
Is it about the Bean
know.
Dad song and how it's bad and how is our song is not written by a guy who says all kinds of really terrible things, right? So we're kind of better than my brother.
Someone
my brother
go
and
on
me.
his.
That's what I'm getting from that.
They have a new theme song. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's pretty good.
I've never watched that show or listened to it, but I imagine it's not as good as ours because ours is the best one. But also, yeah, that was a bizarre story, and I was very confused by how they were tied up in it. But no, go on. Sorry, other podcasts.
Yeah, so it was my favorite sports radio program, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugatz on ESPN. They got kicked off of ESPN for being too great, and ESPN sucks. So they launched like their own podcast, the Dan Le Batard with Stugatz, and it's even better. I may have mentioned it before, but they blend like sports and pop culture and current events very well. And it's just like, it's weird to get into because it's a show with like a lot of inside jokes. But like, if you just give it a little bit of time to where you get the inside jokes, it's very fun. And I'm just bringing it up now because like they're off ESPN and like they're free from the shackles, and a lot of stuff is really good. I'll tell you a bit that you two might appreciate. They got who's the guy who did the Michael Lewis book, but the movie
The Big Short?
Oh my god, yeah, Adam. Who directed The Big Short?
Adam, the guy from Anchorman and all that shit.
Adam McKay.
Yes. There you go.
Yes.
He came on their show and played like a fake character called Shane Bacalata, who was like this Arizona sports radio host who only wanted to talk about sports, no politics, even though he was like accused of like beating his wife and got sent to jail.
Oh.
It was very, very funny. And that's like the kind of like flavor this show has.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all my recs. That's all I got.
Sounds fun. Diggins, what about you? Got anything to recommend to the fine people?
Sure. I got a few quick ones and then my main one. So for my quick ones, just I had mentioned last podcast that I was watching a movie every day through the rest of 2020. So I just want to finish off all the movies I watched as part of that drive. I watched The Wild Goose Lake, which is a Chinese neo-noir about a gangster who accidentally kills a cop, which is pretty fun. Fun in the sense of being like a gritty, like cynical neo-noir movie, but a good one of those, very stylish. Driveways, which is a very low-key drama about a single mom and her child kind of adjusting to life in a new neighborhood, and the kid making a connection with one of their neighbors, which is very sweet. Come to Daddy, which is a comedy thriller starring Elijah Wood about him going to meet his estranged father for the first time, and then just all the wild stuff that happens when he does. And then Collective, which is a Romanian documentary about a rash of corruption in Romanian hospitals and the attempts to address it, which, maybe turns out to be kind of relevant to things that are happening right now.
No, you don't say.
The hospital stuff or the corruption stuff?
Both of them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Well, they're very related.
Right, yeah, I guess.
Because, like, the hospital stuff happens because of the corruption, and then they have trouble dealing with it because of the corruption.
Yeah. Sounds relevant.
Anyway, those are the movies. They're all quite good. I recommend all of them. But the main thing I want to recommend is technically something I've recommended before, but there's a new one of it. I have previously recommended the video reviews of one Tim Rogers on Action Button. These very large, kind of esoteric behemoths that go into all the history and context behind something and tend to have complicated theses behind them. So he recently put out a new one that is maybe the best one he's done yet. It's about a game called Tokimeki Memorial, which is a Japanese dating sim from 1994 that has never been released in America. And the thesis statement that he says at one point is Tokimeki Memorial is more cyberpunk than Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
And I want you to keep in mind it's a high school dating sim where you're a Japanese teenager trying to get girls to go out with you in your high school. But
so Tuesday. Keep going
on a Tuesday.
Is that from
just quick? I want to get a quick temperature read here. How long do you guys think this video is?
Oh, I think I saw it. It's like 3.5 hours, right, or something.
What?
Okay, Nando's guess is 3.5 hours. DJ, what's your guess?
I mean, I would have guessed like 40 minutes.
The video is 6 hours long.
Yeah.
Who the fuck? What?
I did not watch it all at once. I watched it in roughly hour-long chunks, and it is broken up into roughly hour-long chunks, so it is very easy to do that if you want to. But it is absurdly comprehensive and just so fascinating to me. His stuff is so compellingly watchable because he has such an idiosyncratic style, and he goes into such wild tangents and digressions and then details about all of those tangents and digressions and details about his original point, and it's just there's nothing else quite like it. It's so interesting to watch. So if you haven't checked him out before, this 6-hour long video about Tokimeki Memorial, a game that you probably haven't played and probably cannot ever play unless you learn Japanese, is just totally worth the 1 hour over the course of 6 days that you can give it.
My goodness.
I'd take that.
It's so ambitious of a rec that I kind of want to do it just out of spite. I don't know. Maybe I will. What other things has this guy reviewed? Because I did subscribe to him and I did see this come up and I was like, I don't know what this is. Is there something that you would say is like the entry level video for this guy that maybe could get me invested enough to watch a 6-hour thing?
Every other video he's made is of a game you definitely know. He has done videos for Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last of Us, Doom, and Pac-Man before this one. Now, all those videos are like 3 hours long, but again, they're kind of broken up into discrete chunks, so you could easily watch them in parts if you wanted to.
Right. It's cool. All right. So I got is that it? Do you have anything else, or is that's the rec?
No, that was the main one.
All right, I'm gonna try to go through my letterbox here because I did have a lot of movies that I watched over the last couple of days. Besides like ones that I've already seen, like The Mummy, that is great, and The Rocketeer, that is great. The
Mummy starring Tom Cruise?
Hell to the no. I'm looking at my letterbox review and it's just the words, "Hey Benny, looks to be like you're on the wrong side of the river." That one, which is the good one. But I did, you know what? I watched this. This is like a weird journey I went on. So I was like kind of looking for like a schlocky action movie to watch. I was like, what's new? Is there some fun schlock? And I saw this movie called Greenland. Now I assumed, having seen the trailers and having known what, Gerard Butler's been up to, that this was going to be like Geostorm, a movie about, kind of the Earth ending, because that's what it's about. It's about like some sort of meteor disaster thing, and if he's running away from it. It is not that. It is a good movie, in fact. And I was shocked. Me and the person I was watching this, we both looked at each other about 5 minutes in, but this isn't Geostorm. And I was like, oh no, it's not, but it's kind of good, so we're going to watch it, but it's kind of going to be a bummer. So if anything, it's like that first 20 minutes of War of the Worlds that's good, when Tom Cruise is like running around before like the army gets involved and stuff, but when it's just like, man, this is what it would look like if society collapsed because of meteors or comets or whatever. Gerard Butler's pretty good in it. I was shocked. So watch that. Then I watched Geostorm afterwards to get just like a palate cleanse. So that movie's awesome. I quite enjoyed that. But yeah, you can watch Geostorm and Greenland and just like it's whiplash in terms of Gerard Butler movies. I also watched a movie called You're Next. Have either of you guys ever seen this? Came out in 2011.
I've heard of it.
It's like a horror movie. And it's a little bit like the one with the Tag You're At House of Death. But this is But this is different, and I don't want to explain it because that kind of takes the fun out of it. But interesting and a fun watch, and I believe it was on what's the one? Peacock, I think. So easy enough to find. But okay, so two movies that I watched that are new that I was actually like into kind of. So I watched Love and Monsters. Have either of you guys seen this one?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
So it kind of looks like Zombieland, and it feels a little bit like Zombieland, but it's a little bit more... It's less Jesse Eisenberg and more whoever this kid is. But it kind of skews towards a little bit like kind of young adultiness, like young adult novel kind of stuff. But it's kind of fun. The idea is that there is an event in the world that ends up mutating all the cold-blooded creatures on Earth into like big giant monster things. Some bigger than others. So some are like, the size of a building, and some are like the size of a VW bug, and some are smaller than that. But like, a frog is like pretty big. It's like as big as a sandbox. So that's like, what's it like if that's a thing? And it's about this kid who goes and tries to go from one bunker to another bunker because he wants to see his girlfriend. It was like kind of fun. I wouldn't say like rush out and see it, but it was fine. Other one I watched this week, I watched The Sound of Metal. Either of you guys seen this?
No, but I've definitely heard of this one.
Yeah. So this is Riz Ahmed, the Bodhi from Rogue One and nothing else. Really, really good, actor. Apparently, although like he was in Night Of, that was good. He was good in that. And he plays the whole movie is about, he's like a metal drummer in like a small touring metal band who starts losing his hearing really quickly. And it's about him, this like kind of former addict who's not like gotten his life together, but has clearly, he's been worse, going through this crisis. And it's the movie itself is like, his performance is obviously great, but also like the sound design is cool because there's scenes where you start to you can't hear things, or like there's a little bit of like tinniness in the sound, and you're like, oh, that's him kind of losing it. But the thing that I think really sold me on it, or like the reason I'm recommending it is it seems like a real downer, but it's not. It is the beginning. But there's points where it does kind of turn into like, okay, but like, where does he go from here? What's this movie actually about? It's not just about him being sad. And it's really cool. It seems like a lot of the actors they got in it that are, deaf in the like characters are actually deaf in real life, including an actor, I can't remember her name, but she's going to be in Eternals as well, playing the character Markari. So she's on the ups. But yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, so it's like free to watch if you have that, and it's not too long. So I thought this movie was quite good. I wouldn't be shocked if it wins a lot of Oscars. And you know who else is in it? It's Riz Ahmed, and then his bandmate is Olivia Cooke, who you may remember as the hideous monster with a slight facial thing in Ready Player One, who no one can love because of how much of a monster she is.
She's too ugly.
Yeah.
I love an ugly monster like her.
Disgusting VR, But outside of that, who could ever love someone like her? But she's in that, also very good. It's just a really solid movie, and it's just a story that I wasn't expecting. So, recommend the hell out of that. Besides that, I don't know, Cobra Kai Season 3. I like the rest of it. Like, I think that's a fun show. If you've never given it a shot, this is a good time. And that's really all I can think of. You know what? I talked about Sex Criminals, right? I got the second volume. Still good. And the other thing I got recently was the X-Men. What is it called? This all-new X-Men from about 5-6 years ago, where Beast was like, Cyclops is being an asshole. I'm going to summon his younger self from the past to yell at his new self. And that created, shockingly, problems. And that's a fun book. But yeah, that's also, I started reading that. But besides that, those are the things. Do you guys have anything to plug to the fine people? DJ, I'll start with you. Bachelor, is that starting yet?
Yeah, we got the new season. We got Matt James. Very exciting. Very good first episode. Whole bunch of different women on, which is nice to see. There's a woman on who is totally deaf.
No way!
So, yeah, it's cool. They have like a disabled person on the Bachelor. So, and I won't give any spoilers, but I have a good feeling about her. Her name is Abigail, and I think she's going to do super well.
I was going to say, which round did she get kicked off? First, second?
No, man, she does well. So check out Roses and Rejections on the Pop Break TV podcast feed, where we go over the whole recap. I will say it is nice that we have a Bachelor who hasn't been in any of the other Bachelor franchises. This is his first time aboard. So if you haven't watched The Bachelor, now is not a bad season to watch first time, just because it's a totally new guy. So we're meeting him for the first time. It's not he was from season 23 on Rachel's season. So it's totally fresh. So that's nice. Also, Matt James is super hot. Not to that doesn't mean he has value, but he is. So,
in fact, it mostly means he doesn't have value. Hot people are generally a scourge on society.
Whoa.
Wow. Well, this guy volunteers in the inner city to help underprivileged children do activities after school.
Yeah.
So,
well, that doesn't make up for his crime of being hot.
Diggins, I will not have you insult all of our hot listeners. I know most of them are pretty hot. I can just assume, and they're all fine people. If they're probably our betters, if you ask me. So, way to go, listeners! You did a hell of a job being hot. Yeah. So Roses and Rejections. Anything else to recommend or to plug?
That's all I got.
Diggins, you got anything to plug?
You know what? This time I actually do, Nando. You may have seen this if you follow me on Twitter, but I have recently launched I have joined the hordes of white men joining Substack. Not because I hate editors. In fact, I would love to have an editor, but just because I felt like it. So I've launched a newsletter where whenever I write a little thing, usually some kind of work of criticism or analysis, I'm going to put it up on my Substack, which means if you subscribe to it, you'll get it sent directly to your email. And you get a chance to read it if you want, if that sort of thing interests you. So far, I have 2 things up. I wrote an intro piece that's sort of a little analysis of Anton Ego, the food critic character from Ratatouille, but it's also a statement of my own values as a critic. And then also, just today, I wrote a thing about a short little note on redemption arcs in media and what that can say about certain people in real life who may have done some very bad things recently. So if you are interested in that, it is called A Little Perspective, which is a quote from Anton Ego, which is where I got the name. So you can go to alittleperspective.substack.com, and that'll take you to the newsletter where you can read what I've written already, and if you want, you can also subscribe and share some of the stuff. If the mood takes you.
And Diggins, I want people to understand. You're not 8 feet tall and really skinny at the bottom and really big at the top, right? Like Anton Ego. They shouldn't fear you like they would Anton Ego if you walked into a room.
No. I am really big all over. I'm not 8 feet tall. I'm a respectable 5'11", because as we all know, any inch over 6 feet is just showing off.
That's right. Unless you're over 6 feet, then you are our betters, audience.
And I'm also not French, so
How French
really, there's
is
many
Anton
ways.
Ego in that movie.
He seems pretty
So
French.
his
His
voice
name sounds
actor
French.
uses a British accent. However, like everyone else in the movie, other than Linguini, he is French.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's fair. Clausette or whatever her name is, she sounds pretty French. You know, like,
Yes, she is
some
the
people
only-
are more French than others.
I think she is actually a French person, and then I think Will Arnett is doing a French accent, but is obviously not himself a French person.
What about the pig from Toy Story that goes, "They love it" or whatever? That guy's pretty good. He's French, right?
Yep, he's French. Oh, you know what? Actually, Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of the incidental characters do French accents.
Except for the mice. Well, I don't understand
Except
this.
for-
Why
except
don't
for
the
the
mice
rats.
also have French or rats? Right? Why don't they have French accents?
Well, why is Linguini Italian but has an American accent? I don't know.
I don't know.
The German guy. Isn't there a German guy who works in the kitchen?
I thought that was what's his name is.
That might be Will Arnett.
is.
That might be
yeah,
what
he's
I'm thinking
Horst,
of.
I think is his name, right, or something.
Oh. He's like, I killed a man.
with these stuff.
This thumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watched that the other day because of the musical. It's like I said, it's a good watch.
I really like Ratatouille. I think it's one of Pixar's better movies.
Yeah,
I would like to say I am subscribed to Diggins' Substack, and everyone should subscribe. You get a nice little surprise in your inbox that will make you laugh when you subscribe.
A nice little
That's all I
threat.
say.
ooh,
No. It's a surprise, and it's hilarious,
Listen,
and I laughed out loud when I got it.
I've had friends be like, I was scared when I received that.
I don't want to say anymore.
well, to be honest, I did not know what Substack was, so I am going to subscribe after this. But I was waiting to talk to Diggins about it because I was confused. But not like confused, like I think I kind of got it, but I wanted to make sure I knew what
yeah.
what
Oh, yeah, to be
Substack
clear, so
is,
if you-
not what the idea of a mailing list or a
If you
newsletter
don't know
is.
what Substack is, it's just like a newsletter service. It makes it easy for you to make a newsletter and send out things to people. You can have paid ones, like have paid content and free content. Everything's free on mine. There's only a free subscription. I am not making anyone pay for content at this time.
For now,
So-
yeah, you don't want to close that
yeah,
door.
Yeah. Keep that one open. Keep that. In
If
your
I
back pocket.
if I turn out wildly popular and I could, in theory, do this for a job, then I will turn on paid subscriptions at that point. But
Because
I have no-
why, Diggins? Is there a certain phrase of the podcast?
because, of course, I would take any motherfucker's money if he's giving it away.
Very good.
But for now, it's entirely free. It's just, you just got to put your email in there, and then maybe Substack will sell it to people. I don't know. I won't. I'm not going to sell your emails. Substack might. I'm not going to guarantee they won't.
Well, it'll be one of those breaches. I forget where I saw this, but it was like, because like there's all these like writers who are on Substack you got to pay for, and it's like, if only all of these writers were in like one single place where I could just pay for that thing and then read all of their opinions.
Like a newspaper?
It's like, how, well, yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's the idea, right? Like how, like all of the streaming services are breaking up into their own individual things,
Yeah.
like instead of cable. That's now what's happening with like writing.
I mean, it's definitely better because now when some asshole from the New York Times writes a terrible opinion, I wouldn't have to, like in this case, I wouldn't have to be like, do I unsubscribe from the Times? I'm disrupting journalism, but also he said a bad thing. And I can just be like, yeah, I'm not going to pay for him. So,
Yeah, I'll pay for Chris Diggins.
yeah. Cool.
We may have hit 4 hours.
Oh, yeah, we're close. I will.
It's hard to tell.
We
but
took a
may
couple
have
quick
hit it.
breaks, but we're almost there. All I have to plug video stuff. Gonna make a video about stuff I'm looking forward to in 2020, and then Wonder Woman video.
2021.
Because I can't get enough of that weird ass movie. That's it. So
I really like the Golden Eagle armor one.
it was good, right? I was really happy.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Like sometimes, like I'll be like, I'm gonna make a video about like something kind of confusing, not confusing, but like something a little like I have ideas on, and I'll send it over to my editor, and she like works on the first cut, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. She got some of the things, and some of the things were things that I really didn't communicate well, so I gotta fix this and like futz around and put this clip in. This one I sent her over. She gave it to me. It was perfect. It was the best. It was like I wasn't planning on putting it out this year or like last year, 2020, but it just worked out. Yeah, that movie is not great, but I did buy the action figure of the Eagle armor because it does look cool. So the marketing worked on me.
Nice.
But yeah, next week, what are we doing next week?
What a great question.
We could start working toward those movies we owe people.
Oh yeah,
like Spice World.
We could do Spice
and
World
whatever.
next week.
All right, cool.
That sounds great.
Or we could do one of the Fast and Furious movies, since we've got 5 to go through before F9 comes out.
F9 comes out soon. I kind of want to do Spice World. I'll be honest.
Nice.
And then we'll do just because 4 is the boring one. I'm like kind of ugh. I'd have to really work my way up to 4. Let's do Spice World and then 4 next week.
All right, love it.
Cool. Until then, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. We love you.